unpoetic thing and get things started mostly on time today because we have a long day ahead of us. So thank you so much for being here. I am Rob Arnold. I'm the Executive Director of Poets House, and it is my honor and my joy to celebrate this milestone occasion with all of you. Let's give it up for 40 years. April 16th, 1986, 40 years ago this week, Poets House first opened in public. We opened in a borrowed high school economics home ec classroom. And we didn't have much back then. We had a founding collection of 600 books donated from the estate of the critic Paul Zweig. We had the power of Betty Cray's vision. We had Stanley Kunitz's tenacity and deep connectivity. And we had the collective wisdom of a community of poets who helped actualize Betty's dream of building a permanent home for poetry in New York City. Turns out it was enough. We marked that occasion in 1986 with a reading by the Swedish poet and future Nobel laureate, Thomas Tranströmer. Stanley introduced the event with the words, "Welcome to Poets House." Words I never thought I would live to say. Stanley was the ripe age of 80, very tender, and we of course know that he would live for 20 more years after that point. So it was a special evening. It was special because it was the moment that Poets House transformed from idea into action. It was the moment that Betty's dream entered the collective consciousness the way that all poems do. And so that's what we're celebrating today. We're celebrating 40 years of collective dreaming, 40 years of ambition and audacity, 40 years of service, of doing the critically important work of expanding access to the art of poetry, 40 years of building this beautiful home for what Stanley called the entire community of poets in this city and beyond. In those 40 years, Poets House has grown from that initial collection of 600 books to over 100,000 volumes of poetry, which is amazing. We are the largest independent collection of poetry in the country and one of the largest in the world, available to the public entirely free of charge. And every single book in this collection has been donated to us. It's a gift by the community to the community. In those 40 years, we've produced thousands of events and educational programs that bring the art of poetry to the public, and we've nurtured writers at every phase of their careers. Our youth programs have connected tens of thousands of children and teens in New York City and beyond with the power of poetic expression. And in those 40 years, we moved from that little home economics classroom in Chelsea to this dream of a home on the Hudson River. And by the way, this year also marks the 20th anniversary of when we signed our lease on this space, an event that Stanley did live to see. So he saw us into our permanent home. And just a note of gratitude to Battery Park City for granting us, Battery Park City Authority for granting us the space. Standing here does feel a little bit like standing inside of a poem. So we've come a long way in 40 years and we have much to celebrate today. I hope you'll have time to explore our newly opened exhibition down there of 40 objects that document the breadth of our history, from the very first conversations that led to the founding of Poets House to drafts of Cornelius Eady's poem Proof, written for the inauguration of Mayor Mamdani, which represents the civic role of poetry as well as our longstanding civic engagement here at Poets House. And today also marks, this is really special actually, today also marks the official launch of our digital archive, which collects 40 years of recorded programs, including that very first event with Thomas Tranströmer, and it makes them available to the public, streamable directly from within our library catalog. So this is huge. This is a major advancement for Poets House. Researchers will now be able to see these programs and recordings when searching for poets in our catalog. Educators will be able to use them as part of their curricula. Our library collection and programmatic history will have expanded impact far beyond their moment in time and the footprint of our physical location. And this investment in state-of-the-art library software provides a vital infrastructure for future documentation and library initiatives. So what I hope you'll see as you explore that archive, or as you listen to the 40 poets reading today, or as you have your many conversations with other folks here today, is that from the very beginning, Poets House was a collective project. Every single one of you here today is part of that, along with so many others who couldn't make it here today. Poets House began as a collective project, and it remains a collective project. We carry that spirit of collectivity into everything we do here. Because poetry, in some ways, is a collective art. It's an offering. It's an invitation to know and to understand something fundamental about another person. And poetry is also an art of possibility. Who could have imagined what Poets House would become in just these first 40 years? And who can imagine what it will be in the next 40 years? So deepest gratitude to all of you for doing your part to make Poets House such a glorious possibility. Thank you to my colleagues for moving heaven and earth to make today possible, and also every day possible. And I want to take a special moment to acknowledge Jane Preston, who for over 30 years has gifted us her dedication, her unfailing humanity and kindness, and who is also the chief architect of today's celebration. So thank you to Jane. Thank you to Battery Park City Authority for supporting this program alongside so many other of our programs. And thank you to the Board of Directors of Poets House, whose stewardship and guidance makes our work possible. Thank you, all of you. And now I would love to please welcome the chair of the Board of Poets House, Alan Klein.
Please speak close into the microphone. Those are my opening remarks written here. Thank you, everybody. I am a complete civilian among poets, so someone asked me if I was going to read a poem, and that is absolutely not what is going to happen. But I am here, first of all, to welcome everybody. Everybody here is part of the Poets House community, and that is why Poets House exists, to create a community. There are people here who were part of the founding. Lee Bersetti will be speaking and reading. Margot Vescuzzi, who was on, you'll see her name on the first board of directors in the back if you go to see that exhibit, which is wonderful. People reading later, Dan Halpern, who was on the first advisory board. And many, many people here today, both in the audience and reading, whose works are on these incredible shelves. And it's a real privilege and an honor for me to have the role I currently have, which involves making sure that our board president, Monica Hune, does all the real work. And you'll be hearing from her later as well. And it is sort of miraculous that this place exists, and it has survived 40 years. We were talking about having a digital archive, and everyone should check it out. It's really just extraordinary, and it means that the doors of Poets House are open literally around the world, 24 hours a day. But nobody was thinking of a digital archive in 1984 when the first meetings were held, or in 1986 when the doors first opened. The world has changed radically in many, many ways, and yet at the same time, poetry and poets remain as essential as ever. One of my favorite poets, William Carlos Williams, has the great line from one of his late poems. It is difficult to get the news from poems, yet men die miserably every day for lack of what is found there. And the work of poets and poetry remains essential to helping us interpret, understand, and speak back to the world. And that's why we're here today. Hopefully that's why people have been here every day, will be coming back every day. Rob and Jane's work in getting the place renovated and reopened after the disastrous and biblical flood that was here is extraordinary and needs to be lauded at every opportunity. We wouldn't be here today without them. And so this is kind of the Woodstock of poetry. We have like a full lineup, hopefully without the mud, and I think, and well, I'm not going to judge that. But hopefully it'll stay on time, unlike Woodstock. So, and I mean, nobody wants to hear The Who at 3 in the morning if we can help it. So, with that, I will kick it back over to Rob, and we'll get right into the program. So, thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much, Alan. And now we're going to start with our poets. And our first poet of the day is also our most special poet. Speaking of people for whom we owe our existence to. She is the person who took Poets House from that borrowed classroom to this beautiful light-filled home on the Hudson. And it was under her 3 decades of incredible leadership that Poets House launched its most beloved and impactful programs, including the annual showcase, Poetry in the Branches, and the Poetry Walk across the Brooklyn Bridge, and so many, many others. She's a person I look up to and who I hope to live up to her legacy someday. Please welcome Lee Brissetti.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Is this right? Thank you all for being here. And thank you, Rob Arnold, from a new generation of leaders, for bringing Poets House into its next chapter. Thank you to the board and staff of Poets House, especially Jane Preston, Nick Buffin, and Rebecca Gee, but to all of you who've made this happen. I'm going to say a few things about the early days and then give you a lightning round on some of the programs I really love, and then read a poem. Cultural organizations, as you know, are made by many people. Artists, funders, board, and community members, each contributing in their own way. I contributed by being executive director for 32 years, from the time Poets House was a few bookcases in a high school home economics room. It was more than a job. It was a love and a creative mission, and I am so thrilled to see Poets House thriving and welcoming people into this beautifully renovated space. As you've heard, Poets House was founded by Stanley Kunitz and Elizabeth Cray. The latter, a visionary arts administrator, was really the ringleader. She was the longtime director of the Academy of American Poets, and before that, the director of the Poetry Center at the 92nd Street Y. And it was really her vision, and she invited Stanley in to create a place for poetry where poets would gather and help each other, listen to each other, and also invite the public into a new experience of the art form. Many poets worked together to make it happen, but Stanley was essential in those early days. Unfortunately, she died before I could meet her. But Stanley, for those of you who don't know him, I think it's important to say that he was 2-time poet laureate. Take a look at some of his poems. How moving to have a 19-year-old man feel the slap as he's discovering the presence of his departed father. Read the poems, they're here. He was our nation's old man of letters because he lived to be 100. Some of you may have heard this story, but I want to tell it again. I have a treasured memory of being at Stanley and his wife Elise's apartment when poets from everywhere stood in a line around his hospital bed when Stanley was supposedly dying. We recited poems by memory around his bed to send him off. Galway Cannell recited Yeats around and around, one person after another. And then after a few days, Stanley got up and read the paper. The voices of poets called him back. Herein is my turn. I tell this story because I want to quote Emily Dickinson. There is ransom in a voice. Silence is all we dread. There is ransom in a voice. And since Poets House collects and creates access to all the voices of poets, it is, I believe, a place of cultural ransom, or at least an important collaborator in cultural ransom, because poetry gives voice to the diverse, real, and lived experiences of our nation. And from this point of creative engagement, we can listen, balance, and imagine new possibilities. From the beginning, the goal was to create a place gathering many poetry practices, and I want to highlight a few. This is my lightning round. I want to highlight a few of the initiatives rooted in that ethos that I really love. First, the showcase of new poetry books. For over 30 years, I don't know how old it is, it's like the showcase has gathered the remarkable annual harvest of poetry in print and has built the library into one of the most comprehensive collections of poetry anywhere. Poetry in the Branches mentored public libraries across the country, helping them to build collections and create events with other institutions, zoos and natural history museums, in an effort over many years to create a link between the humanities and the sciences. And Reggie Harris, who directed that initiative for a long time, will read at the end of this set. The People's Poetry Gathering, really my favorite. You're not supposed to say that about your children, but I loved that so much. Written and oral poetries together, work songs, poetry contests, sacred poetry traditions. Patti Smith, also my favorite. Linton Kwesi Johnson, Sekou Sundiata, cowboy poets, myriad partners, and the poetry walk across the Brooklyn Bridge still creates a way to celebrate poetry in the places that great poems are written about. This is the end. Finally, back to the beginning. Some of you may remember Poets House at the old Home Economics Room or at 72 Spring Street. But the capital campaign, who remembers Poets House at the Home Economics Room? Some of you. 72 Spring Street? A lot of you here for so many years. Okay, but my point is the capital project to build this space in Battery Park City was in its time, one of the largest capital projects to support a literary organization. New York City championed Poets House after 9/11, and it took a long time to build this place. But they championed us to rebuild downtown here and to be a cultural anchor. And as we approach the 25th anniversary of 9/11, I think we can look at this place as new life after tragedy. This space has made so much possible: children's room, class trips, exhibitions, workshops, and the library, animated by readers, is a holy place. Now, the renovation has made it better, more beautiful, and even watertight. So, thank you, current Poets House, and thank you, all of you, for being part of it. I'm going to read, thank you. I'm going to read a brief poem from my first book, which actually Stanley Kunitz read and helped me with when he was 97? So wired for poetry. This is Dialogue of Two Rivers. I have a certain mother. Oh, I should, wait. I'm a little embarrassed. This is an old poem, okay, but I wanted to read it because Stanley helped me with it. Dialogue of Two Rivers. I have a certain mother, a smell in my mouth, when my body is wrong, hospital mouth. Although the healthy 2-year-old smells from the skin like an unmatchable bloom, icy air, my fresh little flame. There is a river that gushes clear and fragrant, sustaining animals and birds and red flowers. One I thought I could be by force of will, always. But higher up, ice has an iodine smell and cracks aqua white at miraculous expanse. Milky river, crushed by weather and shales, into the world, narrowing, then wide. Pilgrim, look up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lee. And by the way, we are about to have our 30th anniversary of the Poetry Walk across the Brooklyn Bridge this year, so it is quite a legacy. Quite a legacy. And now I just want to bring up my colleague, Maria Elisa Schmidt, who will be the captain of our first block of poets. Join me in welcoming Maria Elisa.
Thank you, Rob, and thank you, Lee. My name is Maria Elisa Marie Schmidt, and I'm an Access Service Associate here at Poets House. I am very, very excited to be celebrating our 40th anniversary with all of you today, and thank you so much for coming. I will now introduce our next 4 poets. Latif Askiaba, Roger Netzer, who's going to read a poem by Edward Field. Edward Field, unfortunately, couldn't join us today. Maymay Bersenbrugge, and Kyle Carrero Lopez. Please give them a very warm welcome.
Thank you so much to Poets House for welcoming me here and inviting me to read. It's always a pleasure to be here. This is a very sacred space. Still here, pushing words out my holes, the same as before. The sun and the moon and the stars, so much for this preoccupation, tension I have for dense love, for possible love, for plausible love. Her back is going. She can't bring in all that firewood anymore. One wood at a time. Walking stick. One day, soon, death will be our post-occupation again. How can you write it like this? I live under the noise machine. I live under the color box. Sound and light scintillate in the shadow of Imperium. It smells like blackface in here. It smells like getting in my head early just by the way they was looking through me, behind me, putting the image in front of my body. I live in the noise machine, the color box. I lie on my back in the curves of my muscular dreams and blow the in-between songs. Longer it moves, the better. I pretend my bedroom walls are the ocean. I reach into the pelvis. I reach into my lungs to move the water poured into both eyes. Half moon, in the stomach of my chest. I live in the color box, the noise machine. Muscular dreams only. The better I pretend. My walls are the ocean. I reach into the pelvis to pour with both eyes. Can't speak. Can only remember. I want to kill Imperium. Dreams speak. Drooling out the corners of my mouth from an ancient future only the body can articulate. Naked-footed, make the whole colony tremble. Not metaphor, but the reverb of our assassination plot. The electric sketch I want you to hear. Noise machine, color box. Tell me, how can you write like this?
But he can't be today. He sends love. We're 2 months away from his 102nd birthday. So this is for you, darling Ed. proclamation. At 86, I proclaim victory. I raise my fists above my head and proclaim victory. Not over anything, but in life. I have emerged victorious in my life. It just occurred to me to be victorious. I am. That's all. Why didn't I think of it before? It's so easy. You proclaim victory, and it's like the lights are switched on. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to achieve anything. You don't even have to proclaim it. Just raise your arms, and you're free from that sufferer. It's freedom from all that. You've taken over his consciousness. I raise my fists above my head in the air. Look in my face. It's the face of victory. Amazing. The more I do it, the easier it gets. I can raise my arms in victory anytime. It's so easy. Everybody knows how to do it. Just raise your fists in the air and proclaim victory.
Big congratulations to the Poets House. I'm going to read part one of the poem called Hello, the Roses. In it, perception is something creative and emotional, and when you look at a rose, the rose looks at you. My soul radially whirls out to the edges of my body, according to the same laws by which stars shine, communicating with my body by emanation. When you see her, you feel the impact of what visual can mean. Invisibility comes through of deep pink or a color I see clairvoyantly. This felt sense at seeing the rose extends because light in the DNA of my cells receives light frequencies of the flower as a hologram. The entire rose, petals in moving air, emotion of perfume, records as a sphere. So when I recall the emotion, I touch dimensionality. From a small bud emerges a tight-wound bundle of baby skin coral petals held in a half-globe as if by cupped hands. Then petals are innumerable, loose, double, sumptuous, unified. I look through parted fingers to soften my gaze, so slow light shining off the object is filtered. Then, with feeling, I look at swift color there. It's swiftness that seems still as noon light because my seeing travels at the same speed. I make a reciprocal balance between light falling on the back of my eye, to optic nerve, to pineal gland, radiance stepping down to matter, and my future self opening out from this sight. A moment extends to time passing as sense impression of a rose, including new joys where imagined roses, roses I haven't yet seen or seen in books, record as my experience. Then experience is revelation. because plants and people have in their cells particles of light that can become coherent, that radiate out physically and also with the creativity of metaphor, as in a beam of light holographically, that is, by intuition, in which I inhale the perfume of the Bourbon rose, then try to separate what is scent, sense, and what you call memory. What is emotion? Where in a dialogue like touching is it so vibratory and so absorbent of my attention and longing? With impressions like fingerprints all over, I'm saying physical perception is the data of my embodiment, whereas for the rose, scarlet itself is matter.
Good afternoon. Poets House is such a special and beautiful place, and I'm really grateful to celebrate it today. And I also want to shout out my friend, the brilliant poet Stephen Ira, who works on youth programming for Poets House and is out of town right now. I'm going to read from a lyric essay called Public Policy, which is on nightlife and other forms of shared social space. I'm at another benefit party we've thrown to funnel as much money as we can to family and friends in Cuba for medicine. We stash hormones and eye drops and tuna cans in bags delivered by hand. Our trade routes sea-wide and paved fresh, smooth as the roads of a township that house its upper crust. Lucky to have a little more to spare. Lucky people can pay the exterminator or the cleaner and leave a room, leave a country, look away from the work. Not that we don't need. Lately, just doxycycline for me from the city's hottest party, the free clinic. Colon cancer holds my bloodline. Men of African descent get it younger and younger, they say. Might baby's first colonoscopy loom? If babies got the right insurance. A decade post-transplant one, my mother needs a new kidney so she won't need more dialysis. Transplants aren't removed, so she has 4 of them, a party of kidneys inside her. She's got the right insurance. Call it opulence, comma, American. You own everything you can afford. No more. Call it good, greed. Call it maverick. Call it rugged. A friend at the benefit asked my thoughts on a few very high-profile poets. One day I'll run for POTUS, the young poet declared at the height of her newfound fame. Picture it now. Will the anthem at last see a rewrite? POTUS poet, please write it as a villanelle that's also a blues poem, that's also a bop whose rhythm rocks the soldiers' boots, shoulders slinging assault rifles lined in Hamilton lines. No, not Alexander, Lin-Manuel. Kids bop, hip-hop for feel-good empire. The young poet comprehends precedence. The young poet understands the president's job. The young poet comprehends the president's job and still wants it, and how ironic. Having lived among pheasants in the oat rows, soon become the hallowed hunt. How iconic of a poet to gift us more problems herself. To bend to lobbyists, as the president does, but with a new poetic slant. To authorize all the more reason to write. Half a year later, I'm at a Reese Beach party with Mikey, middle of what used to be autumn, the air's odd warmth on our hands as we sip nutcrackers and dance. The sand burns from the sun's stare. We laugh about the same thing now and then. Days before, we discussed meteorologists newly dubbing our city subtropical. How dogwoods and magnolias and other human daughters have found life in the Big Apple. Hours on a gay beach stretch like taffy. He changes through teal and pink swim thongs, and our speaker's Donna spars their Madonna. And somewhere in there, we laugh about it again, how we had on hikes or bikes or stoned in parks, each sweat stream down our chests like gore from a fresh gash. Not quite a guffaw. He doesn't toss his head back. It's a bitter kind of laugh at our situation, not helpless, not resigned. Luxury is the luxury of seeing the green outside in nature, said Andre Leon Talley. He said, I don't want to see skyscrapers. We know Earth's C-suite saboteurs could fit in one large room. We know Earth's C-suite saboteurs could fit in one large room. Thank you.
Before I introduce our next four readers, I wanted to mention that there's an overflow room downstairs in case you need a place to sit. It's quiet down there, and there's plenty of seats available for everyone. Okay, so our next four readers are Mark Doty, Nick Flynn, Keisha Gay Anderson, and Reginald Harris. Please give them a very, very warm welcome.
This is a really lovely time, is it not? This is great. Poets House has been a presence in my life for more than 30 years. A presence, a very generative presence. So many wonderful readings, meetings with encounters with so many striking, particularly individual poets, giving form to what it is to be an individual. So many opportunities to teach, to talk, to connect. Because of Poets House, I have been poet in residence at the New Orleans Zoo, which is no mean feat. I have given lectures on E. Cummings in Arkansas. And I'm sure there are many more things that I don't even remember doing that came about through this organization. I came here when the new space first opened, the first week, and there were perhaps 20 people or more in the reading room here at tables. Some of them were writing, giving voice to whatever was emerging from them, whatever shape they could give to their individuality, to their subjectivity. We have no better form, really, for expressing or characterizing human subjectivity than poetry. How else do we know who is in front of us, who is speaking to us? Some of them were reading those artifacts here, left by others. And this is the middle of Manhattan. And there are more than 20 people in this room, and nobody is paying them to do this. They are quietly doing this thing out of desire, out of love for the art, out of desire to connect with others. It occurred to me then that there was nothing else like this here. In most of America, there's nothing like this, a place where there's that kind of concentration. And it occurs to me now that what went on in this room, and does still, is the opposite of war. So, this is a poem, this is an old poem, but I wanted to read it because it speaks to poetry's work in connecting people. It speaks to encountering the differences, the subjectivity of strangers, to generosity, I hope, and to poetry's power. It's called Broadway. And the poem begins, this is the days when New York was not quite the city it is at this moment. And Grand Central, where we're going to start out with, the ceiling had maybe a few stars that were still working, and the paint was peeling. And there was this feeling of, how is this thing ever going to pick itself up again, huh? Broadway. Under Grand Central's tattered vault, maybe half a dozen electric stars still lit, one saxophone blew, and a sheer black scrim billowed over some minor constellation under repair. Then, on Broadway, red wings in a storefront tableau, lustrous, live macaws preening, beaks opening and closing like those animated knives that unfold all night in jewelers' windows. For sale, glass eyes turned out toward the rain, The birds lined up, like the endless flowers and cheap gems, the makeshift tables of secondhand magazines and shoes the hawkers eye, while they shelter in the doorways of banks. So many pockets and paper cups and hands reeled over the weight of that glittered pavement, and at 103rd, a woman reached to me across the wet roof of a stranger's car and said, "I'm Carlotta, I'm hungry." She was only asking for change, so I don't know why I took her hand. The rooftops were glowing above us, enormous, crystalline, a second city lit from within. That night, a man on the downtown local stood up and said, "My name is Ezekiel. I am a poet, and my poem this evening is called Fall." He stood up straight to recite, a child reminded of his posture by the gravity of his text, his hands hidden in the pocket of his coat. "Love is protected," he said, "the way leaves are packed in snow, the rubies of fall. God is protecting the jewel of love for us." He didn't ask for anything, but I gave him the change left in my pocket, and the man beside me, impulsive, moved, gave Ezekiel his watch. It wasn't an expensive watch. I don't even know if it worked. But the poet started, then walked away as if so much good fortune must be hurried away from before anyone realizes it's a mistake. Carlotta, her stocking cap glazed like feathers in the rain, under the radiant towers, the floodlit ramparts, must have wondered at my impulse to touch her, which was like touching myself, the way your own hand feels when you hold it because you want to feel contained. She said, "You get home safe now, you hear?" In the same way, Ezekiel turned back to the benevolent stranger. "I will write a poem for you tomorrow," he said. "The poem I will write will go like this. Our ancestors are replenishing the jewel of love for us." Thank you to these people for their incredible work.
Oh, wow. I'm so happy to be here. This place is really special to me. Thanks to everyone who's here and who pulls this together. I decided to go to these stacks and pull out a book by Stanley Kunitz and read one of my favorite poems, which I memorized years ago, but I don't have it by memory anymore. It's called King of the River. If the water were clear enough, if the water were still, but the water is not clear, the water is not still, you would see yourself slipped out of your skin, nosing upstream, slapping, thrashing, tumbling over the rocks till you paint them with your belly's blood. Finned ego, yard of muscle that coils, uncoils. If the knowledge were given you, but it is not given, for the membrane is clouded with self-deceptions, and the iridescent image swims through a mirror that flows, you would surprise yourself in that other flesh, heavy with milt, bruised, battered toward the dam that lips the orgiastic pool. Come, bathe in these waters, increase and die. If the power were granted you to break out of your cells, but the imagination fails and the doors of the senses close on the child within, you would dare to be changed as you are changing now into the shape you dread, beyond the merely human. A dry fire eats you, fat drips from your bones, the flutes of your gills discolor. You've become a ship for parasites. The great clock of your life is slowing down, and the small clocks run wild. For this you were born. You have cried to the wind and heard the wind's reply. I did not choose the way chose me. You have tasted the fire on your tongue till it is swollen black with prophetic joy. Burn with me. The only music is time. The only dance is love. If the heart were pure enough, but it is not pure, you would admit that nothing compels you anymore. Nothing at all abides but nostalgia and desire, the two-way ladder between heaven and hell. On the threshold of the last mystery, at the brute absolute hour, you have looked into the eyes of your creature self, which are glazed with madness, and you say, he is not broken, but endures, limber and firm in the state of his shining, forever inheriting his salt kingdom, from which he is banished forever. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be here with you today. I'm very grateful I have two very short poems. The first is in Plowshares, the current issue that's out, and the second I wrote last week. Be warned, it's not safe to be a woman. You come into a world of want, and to want yourself, you gotta get in line. Behind all the other hungry mouths, their names for you, the hooks of a bramble. You go to water every day because everyone still needs to breathe. You carry the water from eternity, from ever since, from behind God's back, and they still wash their feet on you. Beware. To belong to yourself is a world-ending wildfire, an extinction-level tsunami, a reset to all the begetting behind a girl named woman, and life upon life as currency, anonymous little helping hands. Stand up into this life at your own risk. The earth's gone too far off her axis. And I'll leave you with this. This is called Evolution. If it feels like a funeral whenever you're rocking on the ledge of unlearning, remember that a step forward into the dark will strike a light as you land on new ground. Remember that the loop we live in, the wobbling, spinning river of starlight that turns birth, death, and forgetfulness into a zero-gravity dream is your home. A new you is crowning, and the pain is terrible for a moment. Open your eyes and look at the light. It is a mercy. Like the breath moving through your chest, the earth's welcome song. You are ours, no matter what version. So stay here with us. Battered and bruised, not a one of us innocent of being human. We are what we got, and we can be better. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, it's so beautiful to see everyone here. It's very nice to be back, to be here. I'm reminded of the fact that Jorge Luis Borges once said that I've always conceived of heaven as a kind of library. So welcome to Poetry Heaven. And I also want to say briefly, Mark, you forgot to mention that while you were in New Orleans, the high point of your career there was being the conductor on the little tram that goes through. They gave you a hat, right? They gave you the little conductor and the microphone, so it was glorious. It was glorious, yes, yes. I'm going to read... I'm going to go from the sublime to the ridiculous. So I'm going to read a poem by someone else, and then one of mine. I was fortunate enough to have heard Galway Kinnell read Crossing Brooklyn Fairly after more than one poetry walks across the Brooklyn Bridge. My goosebumps are starting again. It was incredible. It was like hearing Whitman himself standing there at the river with those glorious lines. It has been digitized, it's online, you can find it. He's on YouTube even. So if you want to hear what poetry sounds like, Galway Kinnell. This is, after making love, we hear footsteps. For I can snore like a bullhorn, or play loud music, or sit up talking with any reasonably sober Irishman, and Fergus will only sink deeper into his dreamless sleep, which goes by all in one flash. But let there be that heavy breathing or a stifled come cry anywhere in the house, and he will wrench himself awake and make for it on the run. As now we lie together after making love, quiet. I said quiet, okay? Oh my goodness. As a former techie, I feel your pain right now. No, actually, I'm still sort of a kind of techie. Anyway, where were we? Oh, yes, after making love. Quiet. touching along the length of our bodies, familiar touch of the long married, and he appears in his baseball pajamas. It happens, the neck opening so small he has to screw them on, and flops down between us and hugs us and snuggles himself to sleep, his face gleaming with satisfaction at being this very child. In the half-darkness, we look at each other and smile and touch arms across this little startlingly muscled body, this one whom habit of memory propels to the ground of his making. Sleeper, only the mortal sounds can sing awake. This blessing love gives us again into our arms. And yes, always. And I realize that this one sort of vaguely fits a little, based on a true story. 8 a.m. That he puts only one arm around her while his other hand holds open the door means nothing. What is important? The hallway's hush, the lingering embrace, what passes between two pairs of half-closed eyes, the brief kiss on the neck before she turns toward work, before he closes the door. Thank you.
Can we please give our blog readers a big, big round of applause? We are going to take a 15-minute break. We're going to start block number 2 at 2:15. And we found a pair of glasses in the ladies' restroom. So if you're looking for a pair of glasses, talk to me or go to the front desk. There's food in the back, restrooms at the end of the corridor, and another restroom downstairs, and an overflow room for whoever needs to sit down. Thank you so much for being here. See you at 2:15.
Hi everyone, if you can start making your way back to your seats, we're going to be starting the second block. Hi everyone, my name is Subin. I'm an Access Services Assistant here. I also manage social media marketing. I want to introduce Monica Yoon, our board president and award-winning poet.
Hi, I've been asked just to say a couple of words about Poets House, and then I'll read a poem. Thank you all for taking time out of your Saturday to be here, and I am so grateful and filled with joy to be here in this beautiful space on this beautiful day, listening to so much beautiful poetry. And I'm forever grateful to the individuals and institutions who in so many ways have made that possible. But I think what I love most about Poets House is that they don't think that that's enough. Like, it's not enough to have open doors and open shelves and open books. You also have to have open eyes. You have to look out into your community, and how you have to see what people are not being served, not only by Poets House, but by existing cultural resources. You have to open your pockets and say, is there a way for us to provide support for those who would not otherwise be able to participate in our programs? You have to open your minds and say, look, poetry is more than what lives in books on these shelves. Poetry is what lives in the mind minds and hearts of people in our community, in their voices, and it is part of our mission to go out and discover and hear those voices. And that's why I'm so excited that this 40th year coincides with a real renewal of Poets House's outreach efforts in the community, particularly in our youth programming. And it's so amazing to be able to go out to an open mic reading in an art studio in Gowanus and to be able to hear a young teen poet from one of the thousands of students who Poets House outreach efforts reach every year. And to see the joy that they have in discovering that we value what's most human in them in a world where so much seems to be trying to make us inhuman. And so on that note, this is a segue into the poem I'm going to read, which is my first AI poem, not meaning that I wrote it with A by, but it's about AI. So the Gallery Hauser and Wirth asked me to write a poem about a work of art. And I chose a video by the Seoul-based collective Unmake Lab. And they did a short video of a mountain, but the mountain had been terribly burned, destroying all the wildlife. So they thought, okay, well, what if we used AI to try to repopulate this mountain with wildlife? And so they fed the AI, as you do. They fed it with trail cam footage, but they also fed it with kind of Instagram, cat videos and myths and fables about animals and what wild animals are. And what the AI generated looked somewhat like animals, but always with these huge, beseeching liquid eyes. And eventually eyes began to pop up all over the bodies of these animals, as if confining these eyes to the animal's space was not sufficient. So this impressed me greatly, and I wrote this. Fable 1. Mountain is burned, therefore this is no longer life. Colors are burned, the ground flickers with gradient subtleties. Trees are burned, their white shadows ache across the dead soil, fingers that branch and yearn toward unbounded complexity. With no remaining obstacles, a gray network ensnares the burnt land. The mountain grows nothing but pathways that stretch to infinity instead of horizon. 2. Infinity is a data set dotted with animal eyes. Want puckers at lips. It suckles an O into the algorithm. Algorithm, eager to please, pops out a nipple, pops out a womb. Wish is born from a want of wildness, wrapped in a wolfish pelt. Wildness digs its den in gut and gristle, a thicket of grayscale fur. Want gouges out peepholes, its empty O's turn long-lashed, limpid. A mirror without its backing is a vacant hole, a horror, a home that licks at Want's fingers with its red, obsequious tongue. Want is searching for wildness, drills down into bowel and bone. Wildness escapes through its fingers, trickles like oil into thirsting dirt. Algorithms haunt these hillsides, their hollow eyes beseeching. They eat only what we feed them, and we feed them only hunger. Thank you.
Now, please give a warm welcome to our next 5 readers, Ed Hirsch, Mervyn Taylor, Saray Jarrell Johnson, and Michael Heller.
Hi, everyone. So glad to be with you. It wasn't until this anniversary that I realized I'd been coming to Poets House for 40 years. That was a bit daunting. What a thrill, though, that it's been a beacon for us in poetry for so long and provided us a home. And we need it. We need a culture where people care about things and people care about language. And there's never been a culture without poetry. And I just don't want us to be the ones who drop the ball. And Poets House doing its part to keep something alive in American culture. I'm going to read one poem called Branch Library. I wish I could find that skinny, long-beaked boy who perched in the branches of the old branch library. He spent the Sabbath flying between the wobbly stacks and the flimsy wooden tables on the second floor, pecking at nuts, nesting in broken spines, scratching notes under his own corner patch of sky. I'd give anything to find that birdie boy again, bursting out into the dusky blue afternoon with a satchel of scrawls and scribbles, radiating heat, singing with joy. Thank you.
Good day, everybody. Wow, didn't realize there were so many of you. Jesus. I had the privilege of having Stanley Kunitz for a seminar once, and I remember reading a poem, and my classmates all went crazy telling me what the hell was that. And Stanley, at the end of all their raging, said, "It's an anti-poem. You saved me from a terrible life." Stutter step. Old men don't stagger because they're drunk. Their legs just don't go where they want them to. They look distracted because they're thinking about some things they could have done differently. Old men are fools for wondering how they got here, when they started out for somewhere else, even had a map. They retrace their steps and stand at the crossroads, looking this way and that. They almost get run over, not by young punks, but by other old men whose shirts are buttoned the wrong way, who slap away the wife's hand, insisting they can do it themselves. Old men call a friend, and when he no longer answers, they cradle the phone quietly, emitting one of those long sighs that only a lover from the distant past can hear. She who died in the back of a taxi cab, or suddenly on a cruise somewhere out in the middle of the Atlantic when their song was playing. Old men do the stutter step, a kind of dance that comes naturally to them, a hesitation, while the feet try to figure the next move.
Hi, I'm Saray. I think a lot about how poetry is a sacred art, but when I was in library school, what I learned is that the first people to get credited for being librarians were also monks. And so when I think about the work of keeping a library like this, making possible what is sacred through organization, I think that there's always so much to celebrate by the people who have undertaken that work. And it's such a privilege to be here today, reading my poem, Ezra Klein. At times, when you think about a problem, there is a problem thinking about that problem. What if the best solution was not change or solution, but a problem thinking? Of another problem, I sought an answer in the eyes of little children, and the problem was their eyes were boiled in their toddler sockets. There was no one worthy of my trust to trust, not an answerable soul left to ask. And me? I have run at the speed of a fallen dream, spoken as the shrill of a folded child made muddy by the earth across which she was dragged. I have folded, and I believe it is best for you to fold. Trust me, I have it on good advice. Problems are buoyant, always bulbous at the skin of the water, always rising when there is a problem, thinking about a problem. But I know what's true, and I'll tell you too. It's the thinking, the problem. It's so terrible. I hope it never ends.
Hello, I'm Michael Heller. I want to read from my check. I've had a long time with Poets House from the very beginning. As an observer first, and then when Lee took over at Spring Street, I did a bunch of seminars there. I think one of them was just called Modern Poetry, where I just wanted to get people who were not familiar with poetry to understand what modern poetry was about. It was a huge success. We had 70, 80 people at a session, and I ran that a couple of times with Lee and Stephen Motika. And Poets House is just one of the most fantastic things in New York, as this gathering clearly shows. And I'm very happy for having known about it, been part of it. Thank you. I'm going to read a poem, short poem, called The Chronicle Poet. One tries pulling syllables clean, like freeing old nails from plaster, undoing the dismantling of human gantries by listening as though one had an empty water glass to his ear, wondering about the other side, shushing wife, child, visitor, the gnawing of a rat to catch sounds between these histories in our apartments. What is overheard is mere scratching, someone perhaps short of air, desperate, a man eating dictionaries, quickly, avidly, hopelessly. Useless, useless. Nothing impedes thought's passage more than an unuttered word, one desperately cut short or untimely enough to have become stuck, where it makes only a shameful noise, a beetle's endless clicking in the throat of a corpse, a noise seeking to reach its fundament, trying out of pure sound to form itself as honest language, and by that failure, painfully embarrassing.
Our next 5 readers will be Malvika Jolly, Lawrence Joseph, Vina Orden, Denise Latour.
Hello. I'm Malvika Jolly. I am so proud to call this my house as a poet. I first came to Poets House when it was still technically closed in the post-pandemic. And I had the pleasure of getting to work an event here for the celebratory reading of the James Welch Poetry Prize in November 2023. And I remember having this feeling like there was a veil and I got to peek behind the veil at a house for poetry being reconstructed. I had such a wonderful time at that event. I have this really distinct memory of being kind of unofficially on staff for one night, like Cinderella, and Nick having us, like everyone working that event, doing toasts before we went. It had this co-conspiratorial, magical feeling, and I remember taking a selfie in the bathroom. And thank you. And doing a kind of visioning, and I was like, in a year, I'll be reading here. And then a year later, I had the pleasure of being here with one of my dearest friends, Adiba Shahid Talukder, who is reading later today. And we had the staff of Poets House made for us this magnificent custom night of ghazals. It was her debut as a ghazal singer. A ghazal is a type of poetry that in the South Asian tradition is typically sung. And she's a very shy, magical person, and it was the most amazing event. I got to stand beside her and like be with and do other things. And I remember thinking, what if the whole 5 minutes is just me singing praises? But I remember having this thought that there is such there was such care in that event that I couldn't even put my finger on, right? How do you communicate most of the people in this room will be Muslim and that will have a meaning around alcohol or that will have a meaning around behavior? How do you communicate that intangible to a staff, to an event space, especially when like that's not my practice to step into, and somehow that event was like this beautiful dry event. We had chai and samosas, and it was this beautiful, so well stewarded, magical, like house packed to the rafters evening. I still think about it so much now, and I'm so blessed to be here. I'm going to read one poem. Close your eyes. I'll wait. Okay. In the ambient of the world. Once, we sought to remember past continents through dream revelation, to trace the routes we took back to those shores where we were birthed. Now we know no country but each other. Dispersed across the ambient of the world, we are all each other's dream daughters, all each other's past, present, and future. We are the fruit fallen in the shadow of the non-fruiting tree. In this nation of dark waters, there is only us, no frontier, no chartered passage, no borderlands. We bow our heads as we pass beneath each other's auspices. We are a strange sort of commonwealth, charting poetics and labor economies. Power cuts out across the dampened city. In the dark, we dream daughters, like the moonflower blooming just once in an Englewood alley. In the twilight desert, we dream of bougainvillea, blushing on the boundary wall, old as independence. The people of this city suffer an infestation of history, one for which wound and cure are the same. After the good doctors cannot cure us, we seek out the less good doctors. We are the rafts built from ancient doors to which we long ago lost the keys. No language but communion, no passports but the seas. Open your eyes.
I'm Lawrence Joseph. First of all, it's wonderful to be with all of you to celebrate Poets House 40th anniversary. So happy birthday to Poets House. It's wonderful for me to be here, to be among so many longtime friends and even more recent friends. It's been one of the great privileges of my life as a poet to have been involved with Poets House since its beginning. My heartfelt thanks to all the extraordinary, dedicated people who, year after year, have kept alive and continue to keep alive Betty Cray's and Stanley Kunitz's vision of a Poets House located in New York City, open as New York City is open to the entire world. Now, the poem I'd like to read is set very near here on the Hudson River. Once again, for Nancy. The Esplanade, high summer. The sea is beyond the sunset's light. The shapes amassed the sky, a current carrying us along, heavy with that green and that black. Fates precisive wheel revolving, forces writhing wheel. The stealing, the killing accomplished by new types of half monsters. It's what I said. The poem is the dream, a dream technique, the primary soul substance on which our attention is fixed. Supernal, metaphysical, in other words, a representation, as we have seen, of mythical origins. Something felt, something needed, as much as we needed. A woman, a man, loves characters, the myth their own. We are agreed. The moon is low, its silent flame across the garden of roses, almost level with the harbor. We place our hands on the silence and once again repeat the vow. Thank you.
Hi, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you to Poets House for bringing us all together in celebration of poetry and the 40th anniversary of the organization. I was actually going to read something else today, something more recent, but I chose this one instead because these days I've been thinking a lot about the body politic, choosing creation and liberation over war and destruction. And because it's spring, I've also been thinking about renewal and healing too. So I am going to read a poem that I wrote when I was going through my second bout of cancer in 2024. And it's called Defying Apoptosis. Defying apoptosis. In the beginning, there was man and woman, darkness and light of a slivered moon. They reverberated with the melodies and rhythms of primal ragas, a universe made up of tiny, vibrating strings. Two linear strands entwined, encoding histories, a blueprint for a mercurial future. There was evening, and the first day you came into being with a roar. The throat, the human body's string instrument. In your country, a love song is revolution. And maybe your birth at the anniversary of the war after the war to end all wars and the waning of a new society was its own insurrection. They bestowed you with a name from the east and from the west, Pacific and Atlantic, the theaters of a survivor's existence. What's in a name? You are the instrument of a benevolent and a fearsome God, the creator and the destroyer. What is liberation but the destruction of an old order? The third eye opened turns everything into ashes. It took 40 revolutions around the sun for you to take on the mantle of woman warrior. Your body, the battlefield, the invading army turncoats, defying apoptosis, multiplying, dividing, conquering. Your future divined from blood. This too is your inheritance among the unspoken transgenerational traumas. Yet, here you are still, prostrate on the field of war with the taste of copper in your mouth. You pray for your fallen sisters and plant flowers in their name, lily, daisy, rose. Someday they will bloom from the blood-soaked earth where you'll stand at the threshold of tomorrow. Thank you.
Good afternoon, absolute poetry lovers. I am Denise Lauture. I welcome this wonderful occasion to say thank you again to Poets House for having organized in 2010 a day of Haitian poetry in solidarity with the Haitian people after the horrendous earthquake of January 12, 2010. I am sharing with you a poem written more than 50 years ago. Poem that has never been published. It's a poem on immigration. Our little friend from another land. He woke up in the morning with the waking song of the rooster and the cackle of the chicken. He sat on a fire log in a thatch roof kitchen and drank his morning coffee from the pot of his mom. He rode a gentle donkey up and down his childhood trails and led his dad's lonely car to graze in a gentle meadow. He pulled up green grass to fatten his parents' pigs and pick up firewood for his mom's kitchen. He walked to distant springs to fetch drinking water and bathe with his friends in the running streams. He played hide and seek in green cornfields and learned to braid well green and violet corn silk. He stood atop the highest boulder to listen to the nightingale's song and climbed the tallest trees to be closer to the drifting clouds. He danced with his shadow to his folks' humming melodies, to the turtle dove gentle cooing, and to the rhythm of the swaying shrubs. The hottest rays of the sun warm up his blood, and the sweetest smiles of the moon glided upon his little eyes. One day, the winds of migration blew upon the rolling hills of his defenseless motherland. The uprooting gust reached every home and wrecked every cradle and hurled away many children. He landed on our land, lonely and hungry, hungry and sad, sad and lonely. But he brought to us new tales to tell, new tales to tell, and new idioms to learn, new idioms to learn, and new songs to sing, new songs to sing, and new dreams to dream. He is our little friend from another land.
Thank you so much to our incredible readers. We'll be taking an hour-long break. The next reading block will start at 4 p.m. There will be pizza and appetizers, so please partake and be ready to give the poets your attention again at 4 p.m. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Nick Buffin. I'm the operations manager here today. It's my absolute honor to welcome and introduce my old boss, Cornelius Eady. Truly one of the warmest and most magical beings that could exist. And we're so glad that Cornelius and his group are going to play for us. We'll play for about 40 minutes. And enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Thanks Poets House for inviting us to come and play on this incredible afternoon. Great weather, great place to be on a great afternoon like this, and to celebrate 40 years, right, for Poets House. Yes, yes. So, I want to introduce the band. Oh God. Can you get your last name? Chambers. Thank you. This for the moment in my mind. That's right. On violin, Conchetta Abate. Cello, Katie Chambers. On guitar, Charlie Rao. So we're going to play some songs that I wrote the music for, and it was arranged by these wonderful people. The first song I'm going to do is a song called Perry. And the song originated from an interview that I did for BBC Radio 4 a few years ago, where I was asked to interview fathers and relatives of African American men who had been falsely arrested by the police. And I was talking to George Floyd's uncle, and he told me that George's middle name is Perry. And he was called Perry in the neighborhood and at home. And he saw George Floyd's murder on TV just like the rest of us. Somebody came into the house and said, hey, I think that's Perry. So, Perry. Yeah, so the voice. Should the vocal come up a little more? What you're saying?
Yeah, I don't know if it's volume so much as just like that's a balance.
Okay.
Because if you bring it louder, it's just gonna contract.
Okay. Okay. So
I think it's just there's not.
Okay.
If there is any reverb, they should take it off.
Okay.
Because it's just making it like fuzzy.
Okay. If there's any feedback on the vocal mic, I don't think there is.
Dry.
Yeah.
Drier.
You should take it off because it's. I guess it's feeding back a little.
That sounds more dry. Maybe they.
We don't really have time.
Okay. All right. Next, what we're going to do is a song for our friend Patricia Spears Jones for the occasion of her mother's death. She's from Arkansas, and she went back to Arkansas not the way I'm describing it in the song, but still using a little poetic license there. It's called Arkansas Traveler. Next one is called The Pickle King. It's based on a true story of a slave named Sam Bolton. It was during the Civil War. His master loaned him out to work on the Confederate Railroad. Sam realized it was a railroad and walked down the rails to freedom, used the same method to get his wife back, and then was a scout for the Union. And then after the war, he retired. They moved to Long Island, and he got a reputation for making pickles.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did. The Pickle King. a poem by Lucille Clifton that I set to music, and it's going to be sung by Conchetta. Let there be a new flower. We're just going to have one set. Let's do poetry dance, okay? Okay. If we only have one set, let's do poetry dance. Perfect. Okay, yeah. Since we're in a poetry library, this song is called The Poet Forgets His Library, and it's about a poet with Alzheimer's who is at the stage in his disease that he's forgetting his own work. Look at all those lovely books. What are all those books to me? Words are a regal fish in an endless sea. Sometimes I beg to song called "You Sing the Blues to Lose the Blues." Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Charlie Rao. Concerto Abate. Katie Chambers. Thank you.
Thank you for staying, for those of you who have been here with us since the beginning, and welcome to those of you just coming in to our 40th anniversary celebration. My name is Leo Kreider. I'm an Access Services Associate at Poets House. I support our library, adult programs, and I organize our annual showcase exhibition of newly published poetry. We have a wonderful block of readers coming up. And first up, it is my honor to introduce you to our New York State Poet Laureate, Kimiko Han. Please give a warm welcome.
Sorry, busy hugging Cornelius. Hi, everybody. This is just thrilling, especially in this sunlight. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everyone. You know, I don't need to tell you this, but anyway, I'm going to. A little over 3 months ago at this point, on January 7th, many across the country and indeed across the globe were stunned that U.S. federal agents shot and killed Nicole Renee Goode, a poet, as she was leaving a protest rally in Minneapolis. Ironically, she died just miles from where George Floyd died as he was shot, as he was murdered. His death in March 2020, as you know, was one of the sparks for the Black Lives Matter movement, and his words, I can't breathe, we all remember as his words and as an echo over time. What is good on January 7th, 2006? Goode was shot in the face. Goode was shot in ice-cold blood. The president stated that she weaponized her car, but Goode did no such thing. Goode was a poet. Good can come of poets. Today, Goode can't breathe either. I want to thank Rob and the legions of people in the scene and behind the scene here. When I looked at the roster, I was struck by how many of these poets I've known for decades. It's absolutely thrilling. It is a family reunion in a very real sense. And I was also struck by how many of the older poets I met as we were all running around, putting together poetry readings and such. Of course, now we call that service to the field because it's a little more intentional. But back then we were just running around. So we didn't have to pay it. We didn't have to work as hard to pay as much rent back in the day. So my love and gratitude, especially to Lee and Rob. So here is another occasional poem. I was sitting around with a group of women poets, and one asked me if I ever write an occasional poem, poems written for an occasion. And yeah, I do. I especially love, those who know me know that I especially love to write poems starting with a prompt. And so I often save scraps, literally clippings, or on my laptop now. So this is from a news article. A daughter, after being asked if I write the occasional poem. After leaving Roxruja, after crossing Mexico with a coyote, after reaching at midnight that barren New Mexico border, a man and his daughter looked to Antelope Wells for asylum and were arrested. After forms read in Spanish to the Mayan-speaking father, after a cookie but no water, after the wait for the lone bus to return for their turn. After boarding, after the little girl's temperature spiked, she suffered 2 heart attacks, vomited, and stopped breathing. After medics revived the 7-year-old at Lordsburg Station, after she was flown to El Paso where she died, the coroner examined the failed liver and swollen brain. Then Jacqueline's chest and head were stitched up, and she returned to Guatemala in a short white coffin to her mother, grandparents, and dozens of women preparing tamales and beans to feed the grieving. In Quechua, W-E means mouth. I'm going to end with a more upbeat poem. Not with a more upbeat, that's not upbeat at all. I'm going to end with an upbeat poem. I've also been writing a lot of poems recently that pay homage to other writers. So I will end with a golden shovel that naturally does that. I am using a haiku by Richard Wright, and his haiku is, follow wherever the tree branches make arches in the torrid sun. Follow wherever, after Richard Wright. In bedtime stories, a girl or girls must follow instructions or the wind, wherever the concrete, the visible, or the voice, like that of a tree, leads her. She walks a path until it branches, then halts, fancies she'll make a choice because choice isn't foretold. She arches her back, then her eyebrows. She finds herself in a clearing where animals badger. The possum says light can be torrid, the moonlight more than the sun. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kimiko. And now it is my pleasure to introduce our next several readers. Heyman Moon, Eugenia Lee, Anne-Marie Macari, Ricardo Alberto Maldonado, and Donna Massini. Please give a warm welcome.
Hello, my name is Heyman Moon. I'm currently a high school senior, and as many of you guys might know, senior year is a very chaotic year. But beyond all the tests, quizzes, college applications, a defining part of my year for me has been learning to understand my dad on a more deeper level. As my best friend and as someone who's been there for me for my entire life, this year has been a little bit different, as there were a lot of moments where I had to be there for him as he worked as an Uber driver. And so this poem is dedicated to him, and it's essentially a reflection of me learning to see myself through his eyes. And so the poem is called To the Man on the Moon, a Letter, after Ezra Pounds. Before mealtime meant setting the dishes, I raised my palm against your cheek, a balloon eclipsing a moon. You scrunched me in your quilt's bassinet, pushing my toes back into the covers. You swung me like a swing until our tango woke up flakes of dust. When the lights were off, I stretched my arms crucifix style, fixing my fortress secure with those warm, familiar walls. Only inside your cradle did I return to sleep. At 5, I learned that P is for patience. I stood still. Vowels remained elusive, but that did not stop me from mastering nature's doctrine. To your dismay, I caught on that branches eventually bent with time. If I waited long enough, your crossed arms would buckle and your frown slip into a smile. I think my body held on to this promise, because my legs forgot to ache. At 11, I was the prettiest girl in the world. Clad in white, I belted I'll be there for you like an anthem. As I retrieved my diploma, pearls and sequins sparkled under the sun. Only we were huddled inside a dark auditorium, windowless and void of sunlight. Just me and you. At 17, we exchanged our unmolded futures under dimmed lights. I squinted my eyes. In the darkness, I could still see your white hairs, so I plucked them, letting the clippings fall. When I looked down, I marveled at the constellation of crescents dotting the knitted sheets. Now I cup my 18 years in my palm. I hold them tight against the crashing waves. They taunt me, but there is peace in my uncertainty. Maybe this is what you had always seen, that all I needed to be was inside these very hands. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Eugenia Lee, and I'm so excited to be here to celebrate Poets House. Like many of the poets here, I've had the joy of working with Poets House in a number of ways over the years, and maybe my favorite one was pretending to be Achilles on a boat while reading from Emily Wilson's The Iliad. But a strong contender of one of my favorite opportunities here at Poets House was last summer when I was a poetry workshop teacher for a week-long program for teens where Heyman Moon, who you just heard, was one of the participants, and it was for a program called the Poets House Academy. And, that experience gave me the appreciation that beyond being a community space and an event space in a library, Poets House really is a place of validation for poets at all points in their careers or in their writing journeys. And at Poets House, poets really feel seen and supported and celebrated, and it's with this gratitude for celebrating us poets that we now get to celebrate Poets House. And before I read my short poem, I just want to say that I'm so grateful that today Poets House is being led by people like Rob and guided by people like Leo and Subin, who really understand that poetry is not just a craft. For some of us, it really is a lifeline. And today, when I think of the truck drivers in my small poem, I am thinking of the heavy lifting that places like Poets House really do to provide a poetry community for people who really do rely on poetry as that lifeline. This is the last poem in my book, Bianca. My husband tells me about a man who doesn't kill himself. We are trapped in traffic beneath the overpass, and the man in his story trembles on the edge of an overpass 800 miles west of here. Here, I have not tried to die for some years now. The point of his story is the call someone makes to nearby truck drivers. Together, they gather beneath the man to form a net of big rigs and wait for as long as it takes for a person to reconsider the impossibility of tomorrow. I've known the mangled shape the mouth makes begging someone not to die, which is different from begging her to live. My husband's mouth, I think, makes this shape now. All my life, I thought I was hard to love. Thank you.
Hi. It's a real joy to be here, and a privilege. And yeah, thank you. I just want to say that I remember years ago when Lee was doing the listening campaign to figure out what this new space would be, and I was like, well, Spring Street's pretty great. I could not have foreseen this place and how beautiful it is and continues to be, and the welcoming that it gives to poets and poetry, which we need so badly right now, because they would do away with us if they could. But they can't. All right, so this poem, there's a you in this poem, and that's my late brother, who died over 40 years ago, and that's what this book is about. This is the last poem called Peconic Bay Meditation. Here, where the slim sash of lichen blends into its tree, and like you, is nearly invisible, and so quiet, I only ever notice the tree's wide trunk and its branches hinged with green, but not the tree's patience. I feel you near as I walk the beach searching for horseshoe crabs. As kids, we'd see them mating in late spring, the smaller male crab on top of the larger female, those prehistoric and medicinal beings armored in muddy gold, whose blood can save us, though we will be the end of them. Let's say we had everything a child needed or could want. We had bodies we understood as indestructible. We had spiders in the windows and sweet summer corn piled on a platter. We had stories passed solemnly and a peach tree that never grew more than one peach every few years. Now, I have buffalo-shaped clouds of afternoons and the kind of blue that feels like I could simply walk into it, slide inside and be wondered, livened, just thinking of my life. I'm happy. This life, how did it happen? May the horseshoe crabs go on unbothered, unchanged, with their healing blood. Those little tanks of the bay with their bayonets aimed at no one. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. So I will be reading for about 3 minutes. So that means you have 3 minutes to take out your phone and visit poetshouse.org. Follow the yellow button to donate as we celebrate the 40 years of Poets House. Thank you, Rob, Cornelius, the staff, Betty Cray, Lee. As some of you may know, I wrote my first book here. Additionally, I finished 2 translations, and I've been working on my next book. There's something really beautiful about walking around and picking books. Regardless of who you are or what you do, I'm a poet, but I've seen kids walk around, come in, pick a book. So this poem is really built by my browsing here. Norton Anthology for the 21st Century, and it quotes Elizabeth Bishop, Cesar Vallejo, Gilgamesh, Daniel Defoe, as well as Lolita Rodriguez de Tio. God named me in an essay for life. I am the law, I am the book inside the book. I had 3 gloves and statues for the assembly of gloves. Inside, the filler gets shaped and you cover it with the cape and set it on fire. See how the world is born? When it comes to others' pain, there is no sorrow like American sorrow. I think the mind is a danger and you have to keep it inside. When he sings between curtains, I am the barbaric yawp over the rooftops of Brooklyn, which is the world. The dream lifts its chocolate steel into the right, a tap for our bathing. I closed my balcony shut, as in life, so the water wouldn't enter. What do you think? In Minnesota, there are angels everywhere, and in the Levant, and in the palm of my hand, angels, and the weeping is awful, and the children plead for chocolate each day, thick in the circles of allergy. We filled their desks with grapes, and the image and algebra, the grapes and the wire belonged to me, only to me, tensing in the stillness in the sun, because I paid in advance. It was my patrimony to the world. On his third little sail, Columbus planted a crown in the sand and dedicated La Borinqueña to the consonants and the mountains. I am the magic in the bushes and the thickness of the brush. And I refrained from using the words he used, barbarian, my brother Miguel. The rinds shriveled in the sun as metaphors for resolution when the storm drew close in the rain and the wind, who had already been canonized in marble. Dawn filtered into that machine where men filed children away, growing them fathers and grandmothers, feeding them cassoulet in the desks, in the rubble, in their green tent. Hold on, give me a moment. Where do you find the face of God? See line 63. Then God wrote a book I don't have yet, but I think it's a collection of poems in a print run of 37 copies, so deep in the dream of Gilgamesh, whom he had read in a group every Thursday on Zoom at noon. Gilgamesh wept for Friday in another book, who was bold in the tame forests of translation, though he was gentle in the war and the bruises of grief. If you would come Friday with the other children, let us pray, Friday would say. There is no better prey than us for the American, but after whiskey. Under a pyramid of money, I was a great fish in the labyrinth of the cemetery. Anything Friday would say, even a fish on the other side of the river can pull us from despair. Can you help me understand the silence of God? Friday, you see him, don't you? Brief and cryptic, he would type with care his own lengthy texts. With time, Friday, you would climb Mount Despore, but convulsed in the flowers of measle over guano, and I heard from you less often. After gloves, Friday, there are the flowers. After gloves, there are fingers. After Friday, they are telephones. After Friday, there is a Brooklyn and me. I bottled thorns for Friday. I wrote him that I would not hurt him anymore and drew little clouds in the manure of the snow. My heart is the sundown of the people when Friday descended to the river, throwing earth on himself. Friday, you see us, don't you? Yes, you see me. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Oh, look how beautiful. So many people. Hi, I'm Donna Massini. I have to say, from this little room on, was it 18th Street? 18th Street, where Poets House kind of started, to Spring Street, to hear this beautiful place. This Poets House has been a house. It's a house for poets, and it's the result of a vision of so many people. Lee brought this vision into being, and Rob is carrying it forward, and there are so many people. And I am so amazed at how many friends I have. Students, hi. I have in this room. And it feels like a family. So I'm thinking about time, and the poem I'm going to read is called On Time. A 2.5-minute read. Tomorrow, my grandfather would say when I asked him to ride my bike. Next day, I'd ask again. You said you'd ride my bike today. No. He'd say, I said tomorrow. This would go on for days. In Italian, the idea of the future is contained in the present. I ride your bike is the same as I will ride your bike tomorrow, and I am riding your bike right now. What a slippery world. Que sera, sera. Each time my mother reaches for a word, toothpaste, candle, each time I forget a noun, I see that rickety old train of thought, late again, sluggish, chugging around its... Nouns are the first to go, the doctor says to the grandmother in the sad Korean movie whose title, I remember, is poetry. And the last? When did articles start saying things like a 6-minute read? You have 140 minutes left of this book, it says on my iPad screen. And if I put the iBook down for, say, 2 weeks, that's a way to stretch a minute. This is the 20th century, my mother exclaimed the other night. Time is running out to save the Western bumblebee, I learned today at 10:49. A short text, a 30-second plea. I am asked to rush my $27 immediately. I'm late. Here at my desk, how is it possible? I am also looking up into the window of my father's hospital room 4 years ago, watching him wave. He has just taught me to play solitaire. How is it possible I've seen only one sunrise in my life? Did you know that memory has the same root as mourn? An ounce of cocaine, the painter says, costs about 60 times more than an ounce of oil paint, but lasts only an hour, while cadmium red lasts hundreds of years. Well, time is money, as my grandfather, who had neither, would say. Out of joint, looping around, how can you finish knitting an infinity scarf? Row, 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 merrily, 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 row, merrily, row, a vicious cycle, a brief candle, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. You have 140 minutes left. Why do we say someone who's dead is late? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Donna. Thank you so much, everyone. And now for our next lovely group of readers. David Mills, Uche Nduka, Gaia Rajan, and Rosebud Benoni. Tracy Morris is running late. We hope that Tracy is here. Tracy is here. Oh, wonderful. Okay. So strike that. David Mills, Tracy Morris, Uche Nduka, Gaia Rajan, and Rosebud Benoni. Thank you so much. And please give a warm welcome to everyone.
So 25 years ago, David Mills, I took a poetry workshop, Kavikanam, at Poets House on Spring Street. And now 25 years later, I had no books. 25 years later, I got the opportunity to teach a workshop here and have 6 books. I'm reading from a chapbook about slavery in the Bronx. I'm at the Coleman Center expanding this into a full-length collection. It's for Robin and Hannah. It's called Of the Issues of the Body. Robin was a Siwanoy Native American. Hannah was an enslaved African. They were married, and they were enslaved to Elizabeth Leggett in the 17th century in Hunts Point in the Bronx. Of the Issues of the Body. Of the body, of the body, of the issue, of the body, of the Negro, of the Indian, of the Hannah bequeathed to Robin. There's their boy, they called him Abraham. There's their girl, they named her Jenny. Of the body, of the body, of the issues, there were many. For the Indian, for the Negro, of the body, when in bondage, there was Hannah, wed to Robin, owned by Beth and by Mary, who in death to her daughter she deigned to give what's known as holy, with only marks and not her full name when she signed again and again. Oh, their bodies held in bondage, think not, rented breath in increments, inhales, exhales, their bidding done. Oh, their kingdom, it will not come, for the body, for the blood. Oh, the issues of these bodies, are there issues for these bodies? One of copper, one of chocolate. To one this land was first, to the other this land was forced, up on the body, upon the body. Were their children chopper coplate? Was their hair huddled or flimsy? Were their noses bubbled or sickled nests of breath or hives of death? Was English their entry point, the way their mouths made sense of how their days had been dented? Of the bodies, what's the issue with forever and how it lingers? Call them shackle, call them shilling, call them offspring, call them progeny, for blood will always haunt the body. Look, there's an orchard and its acres, some 1,200 belong to Leggett. To the native this was sacred, to the native this the crazy. Now a question, dear intruder. Are there disputes between some parties? Can you cup and buy some sky? In the matter of whatever, in the year of their Lord, in witness where there is a hereof. Gabriel Leggett, father and husband, debts he owed would be covered from his stock of breathing creatures. Oh, their bodies were his bodies, but their souls were so their own. Phony owners of the earth, squinting proprietors of the sky. Note the woodlands now have green airs where the earth is pinched and scalds the ground. Mute the earth that mangles the air. They, the yeomen who seed the soil, work tomorrow and its backyard, work the meadow of planting neck, marsh the salt that smears the sorrow. Oh, the body, oh, the issue. Should there be one with the Hannah, with the Robin who work the mill by the Whitewood, on the patent that's called the West Farm, squeezed between another West and Morrisania. of those lots and of those half-rods, this argued earth where they would toil, a tract of land not puckered enough for them to handle with their bodies, or the size that they would clutch. So bowl your tongue up in a quiet corner and scrub the houses and the outhouse. Erase the out and face a house. Oh, the chestnut by the river marked its bodies deep with seasons. Dearest Hannah hugging Robin with her body, yes, their bodies. Which is Robin's, which is Hannah's. Divided widows of all of this, and now the lands of famished dandy. Then what of Robin and what of Hannah? Let's kiss their spirits with a shall we, the part and parcel of splintered centuries, as if time's a tree and its shadows are axes.
Hi. Nerds. Look at all these nerds. I love it. I'm so happy to be here. Poets House. Poets House. Well, since we don't do it for the money, we could at least be indoors sometimes in the house. I was trying to remember, when's the first time I came to Poets House? It was on Spring Street. And I know it was a workshop with Cornelius Eady Kavikanem in a number of years ago. So it's nice to be here. I thought I would go into the crates. I'm feeling very verklempt and nostalgic. And it's the first time I met Lee, obviously. Lee. She just keeps, the only way I know that Lee has changed is because she keeps having these dope haircuts that she just keeps revising. Like a poem is the dope haircuts. And mine just keeps growing, and I stop combing it, continuously stop combing it. So anyway, this is my first little book back in the day, and I thought I would read a poem from it just to go back for you guys. Writer's Delight. My writer's delight, my writer's delight. My writer's delight, my writer's delight. My writer's delight in meta 1, 2, 3, 4. See what I did there? My writer's delight in meta 1, 2, 3, 4. Score with words. Activist verbiage rounds out primordial sounds. My writer's delight. My writer's revised. My writer's delight. My writer's delight. My writer's right. My right. My writers are right. My writers are writing right. My writers are writing right. My writers are right to write. My writer's delight in meta 1, 2, 3, 4. Score with words. Activist verbiage rounds out primordial sounds. My writer's display back in the day, snake charm and voracious contemplation. They fade to black, a smack dab in history, a mysterious backdraft with a liquid consistency. The word smithering tongues twirls, the tongue twirls, the tongue twist, word smithering, tongue curls, quilling some silence. Them nomo sounds empower their nether surroundings. The pounding shores up the heartbeats, a simile metronome like wawanko, berimbau, gospel sounds, and home or house, right? Jambalaya jammin' sound black to me like a ticket higher in a jazz soliloquy. Some rock and rap fat sang, some blue musical thrill, some Void Hills Hendrix Little Wing, a decoy that's willing, a trip in a tip of a cup, tripping a cup of taking a sip of, tripping a kip of a cacophonous swill. The chilling words think I vampirically drink. My feast, the ink extends my kind's line. I'm binded in mind, the timeless memories tick, tock, tick, the quicksand shift from land mass to sea, improvising on a Miles train melody, the Nat Duke Turner Cole freedom ring. A swing, a shout out, the sound waves are loud. I'm trying to push the envelope while moving the crowd, a fiercely proud Judah lion cuddles cubs, the words, the music, they big up the reggae dub. The pride of crews reps of liberation in clubs, wielding weight of each generation, the sacrosanct promise of a hosted nation, the notions of potent and splendid reflection, on the strength, continuing links up connections, engulfing sonic revolutionary eclectic vision, the rhythm must be on a mission. It damn sure ain't a commission. The rhythm must be on a mission. My ride is delight, delight, delicious, the lovely, lightful, and bring light. My ride is delights and metal. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Happy birthday, Poets House.
Hello. I don't know why I thought it wasn't me. I guess it's me. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Poets House was the first scene I ever had when I first moved to New York by myself from Ohio at 18. I was an intern here while it was flooded, so I mostly just sat in the room that is very green and read things, which was really awesome. And it's really crazy to be here now. I feel really different. So I've been doing a lot of research into textile history. And I found out that armor has not always been metal. Armor, before it was metal, was made from linen. Over 100 layers of linen that were put on top of each other over and over, on top of the original body of the soldier while he was standing there. So it was a little bit like posing for a portrait, which I think is really crazy. So this is a poem about that. It's called Double Linen Armor. All right, double linen armor. Stalk flax is combed with a short bone comb and beat as thrips come hissing out, and orphaned, left for days in dew. Then beat again, and wrenched like hair, and rinsed and fixed into a wheel in a spinning room, a fusty din. A din made worse by cough and spit of flax arriving into thread. A spate of threads reared into the loom. Then days of dry and rattling fret, with wire on wire across the warp. At last it strangled, cut to bolts. Outside, a bleeding rabbit's killed. Slipped from flesh, its dimpled skin is boiled for glue. The linen is laid on top of itself in 100 layers of skin and glue. I mean you harm. Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Good to be here today. I think this is my post-pandemic reading, the first post-pandemic reading in Poets House. And my association with the Poets House, was back in before the pandemic. I was a mentor. There's a program they used to have where older poets mentor younger poets. And then there was some anniversary, I guess, a birthday anniversary for Allen Ginsberg that I participated in. And then for some time, I also come in here just to hide away and daydream. So I'm glad that I was invited to come today and hang out with fellow workers of the word. I thank Rob, I thank Maria, I thank Leo, and all the new people who are holding this place up. I mean, can you imagine poets having a house actually facing such a river? Well, very, 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 very good to be able to walk a place where you don't feel as if you have to apologize for walking in there. This is our space. So I would like to read a poem titled As of Now. Send me a location. The problem is not that you are not interested. It is that you have not shaken free of the shadow of a melting point. Laughter is much older than language. Go forth and splurge between cliffs and keep a low profile. Go meet the roots tangled in sweats and bones. Stay devoted to your metamorphosis. Hue of the rain, brown music. No matter what, back yourself. With the velocity of blazing parables, do spice up your options. I trawl beyond gloom. What happens after you threaten to obliterate a civilization? And after the headlines move on, stuck fast inside the planet within? Did I tell you what to do? Did I tell you what to say? You turned further inward for praise and kept the whole country on tender hooks. Tonight, you're far from the bleachers. The thought time's not the charm. You take the heartache to a dive bar. This weighed obsession with omnipotence sucks. Who gives a shit if I died? Sometimes to resist is to reinvent. I don't know if you have the right to disturb my mind like this, like that. This isn't about trying to cut a deal. Sometimes it's difficult to say from which side I'm entering the emerald. The trident wants to be with the white sands in every respect. In the blink of an eye, I blow my nose on the flag in my hand. You may go to war against skateboarding. You may wear a flower crown. Attempt no explanations of horror in a cocktail party. You know, you saw it. Porcelain weed in spiked shoes. Don't bring me nothing but spaghetti and pinball. Lusting after something, canoeing up the cracks. Spooning is the way we recreate ourselves. Not gone, and then there is a dream. Wait for bowling light if you are playing a kazoo. And when the hand falls to the table and begins to sing, till I grab the grapevine, accept the relief in grief. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Oh, didn't expect. Poets House, as of like right now, is truly serving as a refuge for me. Last week, one of my cousins unexpectedly died, and my mother's family, where I was raised, is the U.S.-Mexican border. There's so many things I wish I could say right now that I can't because it'll put my family in danger, that we couldn't even gather to have a funeral because we didn't get a chance to retrieve his body as his body. And I'm really grateful for Poets House because it makes me realize I had breast cancer last year, and I don't think I was given a second chance at life for me. I think I was given a second chance at life to be strong for my family. And so I want to dedicate this reading tonight to them, to the Gomez, strong that we are, and to my late cousin, Julian Gomez II. And he's with us right now. You would have really loved him. He was super cool. So I created this place called Space Horse. It's like the Wild Inn place, and it's because of places like Poets House, poets are really able to dream, you know. So I'll just read it. It's set against the backdrop of Raiders of Lost Arks and Last Crusades. And yes, it's an Indiana Jones poem. And it's about how I survived the border as a young girl. Most men bury the footage in name of profits. I know one who'd add a soundtrack, who'd bind Celesta and Belloc to your eyes and hiss, choose wise. You know him, Mr. Jones. He mouths quite the impression. A no-brows lackey of polite terrors, receding chin, resting leer. Gestapos his way around a flaming poker, cartoonish even. Save for mass graves, others dig for him. His tongue treason's God. His whole reason are side quests of occulting the most holy, bad bets on bad pennies. Even the patch of medallion scars on the palm of his hand sizzle the hell he will. No one can forget him, though only given a bit of dialogue. never named in the actual film, and only when his face melts away like tallow does it really sink in. This whole picture is supposed to be a revenge on history. Revenge is knowing when the ground is moving, another warehouse readies top men. Top men have no loyalty. I thought I knew this. Fly, yes. Land, no. Making it up as you go, Mr. Jones. I too had a childhood dog I loved more than anything. My father saved her as a pup from a man digging a pit. I never told my family about the one who dug mine, made me his ark of broken covenants. My grave maker liked to say, "You lose again, and you'll lose many more times, and maybe you'll learn to like it." It's out there somewhere, horror show, crates and crates of it, crows, jackals, carrion. My revenge is smarter than a penitent man, than glory can whip fortune. My revenge doesn't belong in a museum. My revenge would like to skip a painful excavation. My revenge will not bear archaeology, but preempt it. When men came up to me as a child, she put herself in between me and them, growling and lowly, baring teeth, impenitent. My dog knew what I didn't then. I thought it love, and I had to prove my worth. Passed over her blind faith, she was just like any loyal friend, man's best friend, Indiana, doomed. Close your eyes, don't look at it. Well, everybody ends up sorry for something. You might say, I didn't. I have no desire to dissenter. I have let blind from a lion's head. I never needed a 2-day head start. Will not blend in with supplicants from every town and village. My price, never immortality. When the brass rebukes, my newest strings unmute. Lyre, auto harp, dulcimer, he's dead. Been dead a long, long time and never coming back. An unnamed island in the shadow of honor and regret. My cargo light, my next port of call unforeseeable. This is not vengeance, but somewhere between acts and letting that bastard rest. I cannot be found. I will not be taken. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosebud. Can we have one more round of applause for our round of readers? So we are, over the next, in about 10 minutes, we're going to have a toast in celebration of our 40th anniversary before we gather back for the next round of readers. So please take this moment we're going to have folks passing out glasses at either end of the library, closer to me and further. So please take a few minutes for a short break and to grab a glass of champagne or a sparkling water. Thank you.
Are you ready? Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Oh my gosh. That was much louder than I expected it to be. Hello, everybody. I'm just, I would love to invite you all to yes, I'm so sorry to interrupt all your conversations. Thank you all so much. I actually, before we do the toast, I promise you're going to do the toast. Has everybody got their toasting materials? Okay, we're going to do the toast in one moment. But first, we have two very special guest speakers, and so I'm going to make room for them right now. And so please, it's my great pleasure to welcome the President and CEO of Battery Park City Authority and a great friend of Poets House, Raju Mann.
Hello everybody. How's it going? Beautiful, beautiful. Sunshine, poetry, Saturday. It's a pretty perfect day. So happy 40th birthday, Poets House. Just want to congratulate Rob and the board and the staff for all the work organizing this event and for all the work you do every year. So I'm the president of the Battery Park City Authority. What we do is we help take care of this neighborhood. So we manage the parks, we do lots of arts and cultural programming, we do some real estate stuff, which is less maybe this audience, and we take care of the neighborhood by building things. And the arts and culture piece is a very, I think, central piece for me. I think it's what makes communities make sense, what makes us live here and want to be here. And I think especially in these times, for me personally, it creates some space for actually thinking, which seems harder and harder to find. So I want to thank the Poets House for creating that space for all of us, for exploring, for dreaming, for imagining, for thinking, for connecting with each other. It's pretty rare to have this kind of community. And so I'm very grateful to be a part of it in a small way. We're a funder supporter of the Poets House. We've got a great lineup of programming this summer at Wagner Park, which is a park just down the block here. So if you're looking for something to do on a Friday night, check the Poets House website, check our website. It's a really beautiful sunset poetry kind of experience. Bring some wine or non-alcoholic beer, whatever your persuasion, and enjoy it. So I don't want to keep you from the toast. I just want to thank Rob and the board again for organizing us here together. And thank you all for being part of this community. It's a special place. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Raju, and thank you for all the years of support and partnership and close friendship that you, Rayon, and everyone at Battery Park City Authority have shown us over the past 20 years. For those of you who weren't here earlier, this is our 20th anniversary of the signing of our lease to be in this space. So, yeah, so thank you again.
How long is that lease for?
Well, we have, I think, another 40-some years on that lease. Yes, to 2069. So yes. So we have to stay here and good and vital for another 40 plus years. Okay, so and now it's my great pleasure to welcome the Manhattan Deputy Bureau President, Misha Smith. Thank you, Misha.
I mean, we dream of 40-year leases. My goodness. Well, it's my pleasure to join you all here today. My name is Misha Smith. I am the Deputy Borough President, as Rob mentioned, serving with Brad Hoylman-Siegel, who is our Borough President, who many of you might know from his years in State Senate, yes. But we are now here running the Borough of Manhattan, and so happy to celebrate the 40th anniversary of Poets House. This is the kind of organization that we dream of in Manhattan. Brad and I are really dedicated to arts and culture in Manhattan, not just because it's the fabric of New York City, but it's also because it builds community. And in times like this, times when we have non-favorable places and things happening at the federal level, times when we all feel, I think, in our communities, that things are threatened, the things we love and the things that we hold dear are threatened. It's times like this when we have to turn into our communities at a local level, at a state level, at a federal level. And our communities are made up of things like Poets House. They dare us to dream, to express ourselves. There are safe spaces where we can come and know that we will be with people who are like-minded and be with people who have a deep appreciation to not just the art that you all hold here, but to making it accessible to the rest of the city. So I want to thank Rob, I want to thank the board, and to all of you who help support Poets House. And because it's a special 40th, I'm 39, so I'm like waiting for my 40th. I wanted to present Rob and everybody here at Poets House with an official city proclamation.
Oh my goodness.
Rob, you got to come help me or else I will break it, and then everybody will get mad at me. But this is your official city proclamation. I won't read it all because it's so long, but it officially makes April 18th, 2026 Poet House's Appreciation Day in the Borough of Manhattan. So congratulations, Poet House. Thank you so much. So wonderful. And so I'll let you lead the actual.
Now, if that's not toast-worthy, I don't know what is. Thank you so much. Yes, no, we did this on purpose. So, so everybody, thank you so much for being here. Wow, I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to hang it on my wall. Yes, indeed. So I had this interesting experience a couple weeks ago, I was making, I had the great pleasure to learn how to do some pottery with a amazing potter and poet named Max Early. And he showed us how to make pinch pots. So it was, it's something you've done probably a lot as a kid, but haven't done that since I was a kid, basically. And so we made the pots in our hands. We fired them on the ground in an open air pit. And then at the end of the whole experience, I had this little bowl, and the bowl was in the shape of my hand. And it was just like this beautiful moment, and I had this sudden realization while I was holding that bowl that all art is in the shape of the person who made it. I know, right? And to me, that's what poetry is. It is in the shape of the people who make it, is in the shape of the people who read it, and connect with it and experience it. So, everybody, if you have a glass, I hope you'll raise it with me. We're at we're outside this window is the Hudson River, or the Lenape name for that is the Mahikanatuk, which is the water that is never still. And so poetry and Poets House are never still. For me, an anniversary is a hinge. It connects us to the vision of the past and to the hope of the future. And I think for me, that future includes all of us in this room, many more who are here with us in spirit, and all the rest who've yet to imagine their way into this company of poetry. So as Stanley said 40 years ago, Poets House is for the entire community of poets in the city and beyond. So I'd like us to toast to the beyond. Let's toast to Poets House, past, present, and future. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Yay! Hear, 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 hear. And now, I think Cornelius is still here. If he is, oh, there he is, right in front of me. Fantastic. Okay, so now it is my immense pleasure to bring up a person who needs no introduction, so I won't. But no, Cornelius Eady is our vice president. He was the interim executive director before I was appointed executive director, and he is the inaugural poet for Mayor Mamdani. So please welcome Cornelius Eady.
Man. You already have. You already have. I took that picture because I was just thinking about the distance between desolation and proclamation today. Right? When I was interim director, this space was totally different. There had been a flood in the apartments upstairs, and the water had come in and had devastated the downstairs. Absolutely devastated. You can go on YouTube and see me pondering around the devastation. You could see what it was, and how bad it was. And you would be okay to look at that and consider they're never coming back. This isn't going to happen. They're stuck with a 100-year lease on a dog, right? On a horrible space that nobody else is going to want, except for maybe trust fund babies that will turn it into a glorious condo, right? There was a poetry library here before I got here. I have a little thing on my wall here, a couple of poetry books to remind you all of what used to be. It didn't look good, but people refused to give up on Poets House. They refused to give up. I refused to give up on Poets House, which is part of the reason why I took the invitation to become the interim director, to get it to be the bridge between that and now. And I can't tell you how incredible how full my heart is. Look at this end result. We're not finished. We're going forward. We're doing new things, right? But to get to this point is incredible. Let me take my word for it. This is incredible. And with all the crap that's going on, raining down on us daily, hourly, it's really good to know that you have to take your small victories, right? And hold on to them as tight as you can and use them. And this is a victory. I say small victory in the big context of culture, but really it's not a small victory. It's a huge victory. Holding on to this space, defending this space, making others be comfortable in this space. I love the poet that said, as if it was okay for me to walk in here and know I'd be okay. I'm paraphrasing it. But that's pretty much the deal for me for Poets House as well. Stanley was absolutely brilliant when he took the apostrophe away from the T and the S. Right? That was absolutely correct. Right? You know, Poets House. All poets, all poetry, all voices, all schools. None above the other. Where they all can be found, where they all can be seen, where they all can be listened to, where they all can be preserved. I was at a reading yesterday in New Hampshire at a poetry festival, and one of my oldest poetry students who now lives in New Hampshire, I knew her when she was a preteen, was there, and she gave me a copy of Victims of Lay's Dance Craze, my second book. She reminded me that I had signed a copy of her book 40 years ago. And then she found online a pristine copy of the hardcover version of the book that had the card in it as well. They put a card in. It was the Academy of American Poets that had the card in. And I turned it over and looked at the back cover and then realized that except for Yusuf Kameniaka, every single poet that blurred my book is gone. Gone. Lisa Mueller, Roland Flint, Linda Paston, gone. And it took me back a little bit, right? It was a bit of a surprise, but I also wanted to know, but they're still here, aren't they? They're still here. They're still here. They're still here. They're here. They're in these stacks right now. They're in our heads, right? Right? And that's a good reason for a Poets House, right? Right? We're mortal. We're going to die. But they're here. And that's what this work to me has always been about. So, Stanley and Elizabeth for Lee, good Lord, Lee, right? Right? Who can never get enough flowers from my point of view. Rob, who just has taken up this mantle and has done such an incredible job of bringing us back into the world and letting people know that we are back in the world and thriving, right? And the staff and the board and everybody who just pulls and do what they need to do to get this thing, keep this thing rolling. So I am just so happy, right? I had to get my proof about this, right? So, and it also takes imagination, right? When the mayor asked me to be the inaugural poet, after I got through my disbelief and thinking it was a scam, because it had to be, right? Right? After I got through that, and I also got through my knee-jerk reaction to suggest somebody else. I know this poet, Tracy Morris. She'd be really great. She'd be really good. She'd knock it out of the park, right? I sat on that because I realized that they had offered me a really incredible offer, and I shouldn't. And I was probably already vetted as well, so I should not slap the hand away. And how I wrote the poem, with help from my wife and with help from Elizabeth Alexander, was to look at all of Mandani's videos, when he was running for office, and what was incredible about those videos was the thread that ran all the way through it. The thread that ran all the way through it is, I see you, I get you. You don't have to explain to me. You don't have to go into big details about what the world is and how we need to change it. It's our time, ain't it? It's our moment, ain't it? Right? So all you gotta do is step up and take it. All you gotta do is step up, vote, and take it. Now. But also with great joy, with great, he's very mischievous. He's very joyful at what he does. So I could tell the difference between the other candidates where like, we gotta kill everybody, and starve them, just string them up, it's horrible, and that's the way it ought to be. And Mandami's going, hey, what do you want? You want that guy? You want the prune, or do you want? Right? How do you want to live for the next 4 years in New York? Right? Right. I mean, that's basically how what it boils down to. At least watching those videos, and for me, it was sort of like it's about you have to imagine it. He was inviting you to use your imagination, to enter your imagination, and then if you can imagine it, you can make it. You can make it happen, and it's not some mammy-pammy, woo-woo kind of thing, right? Right? It's basically imagination with action. Will make it happen, right? And that's what I was trying to tap into when I wrote the poem Proof, which I will read for you right now. And you see that how easily I took the time because as if I was entitled to the time because I was an interim director at one point. I was a boss once. And now I can, Proof. You have to imagine it. Who said you were too dark, too large, too queer, too loud? Who said you were too poor, too strange, too fat? You have to imagine it. Who said you must keep quiet? Who heard your story, then rolled their eyes? Who tried to change your name to invisible? You've got to imagine. Who heard your name and refused to pronounce it? Who checked their watch and said, not now? James Baldwin wrote, the place in which I'll fit will not exist until I make it. New York, city of invention, roiling town, refresher and renewer. New York, city of invention. New York, city of the real, where the canyons whisper in 100 tongues. New York, where your lucky self waits for your arrival. Well, there is always soil for your root. This is our time. The taste of us, the spice of us, the hollers and the rhythms and the beats of us, and the echo of our ancestors, who made certain we know who we are. City of insistence, city of resistance. You have to imagine an army that wins without firing a bullet. A joy that wears down the rock of no. Up from insults, up from blocked doors, up from trick bags, up from fear, up from shame, up from the way it was done before. You have to imagine. That space they said wasn't yours. That time they said you'd never own. The invisible city lit on its way. This moment is our proof.
Thank you, Cornelius. That was fantastic. Thank you all for being here to the very last block. That's amazing. We're so glad to have you here. My name is Kate O'Donohue. I'm on the Access team. I help to manage the adult education program, so all the workshops and classes you might take at Poets House, you can always talk to me about them. I'm so lucky to welcome the last block. Our next 5 readers are going to be Nicole Seeley, Andre Spears, Patricia Spears-Jones, Kendra Sullivan, and Adiba Shahid Talakdar. Join me in welcoming them.
Hi, everyone. Thank you all for, hi. It is such a joy to be here to celebrate Poets House's 40th. Thank you to Lee, thank you to Rob, and to follow Cornelius, a mentor, an amazing poetry citizen is a dream. I have known Poets House since the early 2000s. So like David Mills, who took workshops here through Cave Canem, I did the same. And that workshop that I took many years ago was facilitated by this amazing poet, formalist called Marilyn Nelson. Okay. Y'all know. And in that workshop was a bunch of folks who I'm forgetting, but though some that I won't forget, close friends, Ama Kojo, Robin Coast Lewis, Linda Susan Jackson, yeah, and Sapphire, just random. Exactly. So I grew up here, and I'm so grateful for this space that took a baby poet in and raised me with Cave Canem. So thank you, Poets House. I'm going to read a poem by Linda Susan Jackson. It was on the Slowdown, so you might know it. It's called What Good is a Castle? In the mirror, I'm no longer there, but the someone who is looks at me as though surprised that I show up every morning. What else is there to do? I've become my own curio, a daily novelty, trying to work magic with foundation, blush, brush, and lipstick, which yields no promise. So when the image turns away, it takes apart my voice. No matter. No one ever listens when I speak. Stunned by the ticking clock, I stare back in the mirror. All the markers are gone. I am what was both bounty and beauty, added value to the trinity for young skin. Possession, performance, profit, there's no running from it. Once my beauty could choke the scarlet off a rose, almost predict the edge of the world, make music of what happened, although everything changes with the playing, worrying the line to dust. I'm in time's geography, so what's left of its shifting melody, a breath, a note, a glance, a new ache. Outside, everything smells of week-old grease, even the clouds. Thank you.
Hello. Happy birthday to Poets House on its 40th anniversary. I started coming here in the early 90s and became a volunteer, and I was just thinking, those days back in Spring Street, sitting in front of this ancient computer, you know, with the black screen and the green designs, working on a spreadsheet. This was in the early days of spreadsheets. You know, I'm entering the title of the book and the author and the date. And the thought occurs, you know, given the sort of the archive that's going online now, the extraordinary growth, the spectacular growth and evolution of Poets House over the past 4 decades. So, along with all of you, I wish Poets House the very best over the course of the next 4 decades. I'm going to read from an epic poem that I published last year. It was in the showcase. It's called From the Lost Land, Schizo Poem. The division into chapters follows the sequence of the tarot deck. So I'm going to read from the 13th card, which I call the skeleton, more commonly known as death. One reason I call it a schizo poem is it presents itself with two columns. One column is entirely made of quotations. They switch back and forth from chapter to chapter. So I'm going to preface this with three quotations from what is essentially the context, the right-hand column, and then followed up with the reading of the text, excerpt of the text. It's a short excerpt. So the first quote is from Gertrude Stein, on a theme as old as philosophy itself. Quote, "Everything changes. It is extraordinary how everything does change." That's from Everybody's Autobiography. The next quote is from Maria Martens. I don't know how many of you know who Maria Martens is. She was a Brazilian visual artist. She's been described as the greatest sculptor of surrealism. She became part of the surrealist group in New York in the 40s when it was in exile. And she was the partner of Marcel Duchamp. In fact, I just read that she is the model. She is the model for the nude in Duchamp's last masterwork, the diorama. I don't know how many know it. The diorama of Étant Donné. It's a fun fact, especially insofar as there's a Duchamp show that just opened at MoMA, which I'm sure many of you want to see. So she writes, quote, "Art is the underground of the world, and we will win in the end." That's from an article called Underground Art in Time magazine, 6 May 1946, so exactly 80 years ago. The final quote is from Emily Dickinson. I'm sure most of you know it. Quote, "The soul has moments of escape when, bursting all the doors, she dances like a bomb abroad and swings open the hours." That's number 360 from the Johnson edition. What big head guards our way and does not go to any other place at any other time? Guards us of the righteous seventh generation, who once reveled in tongue twisters and phallic song, and climbed the smoky ropes of ritualized argument and shouting matches, who did the right things for the wrong reasons, and the wrong things for the right reasons, while some shook their heads to mean no, and others nodded yes, from a higher sense of moral virtue, who confronted the conditions of responsibility for action with courage and temperance, honor and anger, whose intellect, both contemplative and calculative, embraced practical wisdom, intuitive reason, political science, and art, who championed mythos against logos in the spirit of friendship and practiced neoteric sex off the radar of rationalism, in ex-oceanist freedom from allegory to Rashomon effect, only to look at each other amid the wreckage of our astrology and ask, how did this happen? Thank you.
Wow, there's a lot of people here. All right, and can somebody help with the, I know this is gonna, some of us are short. Some of us are very short. I really am 5'10", but something happened and we won't go there. Anyway, I am among a few folks in this room who have literally been in Poets House for over 40 years in one place or another. So I have been a friend of Poets House, and when Jennifer, oh gosh, I just forgot her last name, was running CCLM, we all went to the first iteration of it. It's kind of amazing to go from a small collection of libraries to something big like this and to see it sustained. And it can only be sustained with everybody in this damn room and elsewhere being a member. So be a member, okay? All right. I want to thank Lee and yes, and Jane and all kinds of wonderful people and the new regime, Rob and everybody for the regime, Rob the regime. I like that. Kind of like that. Anyway, this is a beautiful space and it's a powerful space, and it is one that is a gift to this city and to the world, and it's a model because I've gone to other places where they stole the model. We won't go there, and they don't use it as wisely and as well as Poets House. So I'm going to break the rule here, and I'm going to read 2 poems, because you know what? I'm old and I don't care. So, but just thinking about the idea of beauty and capitalism and some other things, and also quotes, many of you people know that I'm a social media freak. And so one day I was reading Facebook, and somebody actually said this, and well, you'll understand how I feel about Barbie. Literally. You will. All right. Oops. Let's make sure I have all of it. Awesome. 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 All right. Awesome. Writes someone on Facebook about an Ida B. Wells Barbie. Brown, yeah, I know. And I'm from Arkansas, which is down the street from, Memphis, where Ms. Wells was, did some serious fighting the Klan. All right. Awesome, writes someone on Facebook about an Ida B. Wells Barbie. Brown of face, but those distinctive California surfer girl features prevail. Is that why it's so awesome? Godlike? Sublime? An Ida B. Wells Barbie? And why is this good for the race? Is it good for the race? Will there be a Harriet Tubman Barbie surfing off the coast of California while Ken builds their dream cabin far from the master's house? Yeah. And there could be Runaway Barbie hiding behind a barn somewhere past Kentucky, on the way to Ohio, Wisconsin, prairies flaming after Ken torches the wheat fields. Or maybe Madam C.J. Barbie, C.J. Walker Barbie, complete with her dream chassis and chauffeur who looks like Ken in a uniform. Barbie is the perfect capitalist tool. And while Ida B. Wells was most entrepreneurial, a capitalist tool was she not. Maybe I'm not bourgeois enough to appreciate this nuanced creation of a great black revolutionary woman who, with her pen, led black Memphians to close their schools, shutter businesses, pack up their houses, and leave a place where black bodies were lynched out of spite and for sport. A Barbie action figure as honor for black feminine power? We are in a new millennium, and that is how we model fame. A pleasant featured brown doll in period dress. Could not our aspirations surface in gold? Coins of the realm, perhaps, or gold leaf chocolates for curious black girls exploring mathematics or music, geometry or geography, poetry or philosophy, art or astronomy? Aspirational scholars angling for that, quote, full ride, unquote, dip in the academic swimming hole. What is our cultural currency? What can this brown doll in period dress be worth? time, dignity, tokens for transport, or the taste of Grand Marnier? Brand affinity, bottom line, profitability, that old quote, buy and sell, unquote. Well, this is how to burnish the coffers of an ever-expanding toy universe. Is the net profit on the fierceness of black femininity as valued as the coffles moving from Virginia to Louisiana, feet and hands nickeled and dimed? How else to harp history's progress, each button a memory of a woman raging against murder, demanding justice, and yet on this earth, memory is trapped in compromise, the corporate aspiration to do good. Is this the capitalist way to the divine? But is there even such a thing? Oh, awesome. And then I've been writing a poem, because we know we're living in the world of the devil. So, and I've been writing, yes. My mama would say, they doing some devil's work out here. If she was still alive. She's probably saying it anyway. So, and I wrote a series of poems in the devil's wife's voice. And the last one is called The Devil's Wife Considered Suicide, Since Murder is Not an Option. Remember reading that Dorothy Parker poem that ends, "You might as well live"? But damn, what life do I have here in this big house? All manner of devices for me to operate their robotic beeps and constant surveillance. Can I get a headache? Migraine? I need a migraine. I need something debilitating, total, a big sleep, no waking up. Never marry an immortal, my mother told me, as I wrap my body in white cotton tulle, pink ribbons, the signs of abject femininity, playing the perfect bride, and she the perfect soon-to-be mother-in-law. She hated the devil, knew his kind, those brothers, cousins, jailhouse fine fellows ready to track and steal away humans, take their treasures, all for the devil's particular and peculiar pleasures. If you cannot contemplate your husband's demise, you have little left to console you. Migraine, slash wrist, chemical cocktail. Damn, what is a full-grown, angry woman to do? Thank you, Poets House.
Hello. Wow, thank you, Poets House. Thank you to the people animating Poets House. I wanted to read a poem that I wrote in a workshop with Anne Waldman and No Land earlier this year. It's part of a manuscript, which is an ongoing argument between Dorothy Brooks from George Eliot's Middlemarch, Dorothy Wordsworth, and Diane de Prima. So you'll hear a couple of D names in there, just so you know how to situate them. And it's premised on the fact that lineage is bidirectional, it's reciprocal, it's mutual, it's traveling in both directions, all directions, and it requires a place. And so thinking of Poets House as this place and the poems that we write here as the place of this bidirectional lineage. It also, the whole sequence is kind of grounded in Jane Cortez's Sacred Trees, which is from her book Somewhere in Advance of Nowhere from 1997. So you'll also hear a bit about trees. 1. Blake. The clowns seal the leaves. The clowns, pardon me. 1. Bag. The portal opens. The portal opens, and a bunch of clowns with brainworms push their way through, ushering in a worse. The portal opens, and a bunch of clowns with brainworms push their way through, ushering in a worse world than the one we left behind. They swallow up all the vaccines in a black contractor bag. They swallow up the whole of civil society in a black contractor bag. They swallow up my child's lunch, my child's IEP, your child's classroom, playground, and school building, the bus driver, and the bus matron, and their pension, and the whole bus got swallowed up along with the dispatcher and the radio transmitter, towers and the broadcast networks and the air traffic controllers and the planes and the sound waves and the atom center, a hot place of wondrous art, all buttoned up in the bag. In the bag at the mouth of the womb, poets not yet born are furnished with a mental image of the world by the ancestors, a clod of clay and the place in the cave where the circumstances of your death is written in stone. Consent is important to the ancestors, and they ask, would you like to be born under these conditions? All buttoned up in the bag? Yeah, I answered. Yeah, under any condition. 2. Blake. The clowns seal the leaves in the black contractor bags. The clowns drop the bags full of fall leaves in the landfill. The clowns close the women and their wombs in the bag. They've got all the women and all the wombs in the bag in the landfill. Prior to birth, armored by the womb, poets not yet born are shielded from the rule of the bag. But they are not alive and cannot write, and so they mostly opt in to the bag to be part of the book. What book, Dorothea? In Latin, book. It means beech, as in tree, and library translates liberum, as in inner bark. What is Latin to me, Dorothea? Just a gift of language? It's just the gift from language. When I think of us poets, I think of us women and the trees. Thank you.
I'm super honored to be here. Poets House is a super special place for me. When I was a 2017 Emerging Poets Fellow here, I worked up the nerve to submit 2 manuscripts, and those are my first 2 published collections. And thank you. And I also debuted as a ghazal singer here 7 years later, and it was just the best environment and audience I could ask for. Hold on, this is a bit high for me. Like tippy-toeing, and I'm wearing heels. So this poem also, unfortunately, invokes New York. I didn't think, Cornelius, that you would read your New York poem, but this is pre-Zohran, so it's a lot like... I just moved back to New York. Rents were really high. I was working a really bad job. And yeah, it's after Ginsberg. My generation, destroyed by madness. After you spoke the word of God within the bomb, inhaled its bitter dust and expelled it as everlasting breath, this city, our city, should have crumbled. Yet even after walking for days in the shadows of skyscrapers, even when ourselves dissolved, we were still standing. New York, city of ash and concrete, city of ground bones, city made of music, broken by music, harp of steel and notes hovering below natural. Your fingers tremble upon the sharp silver at the unraveling of beauty and the start of death. Each day you break and reassemble, and this tedium is what completes you. The spell which you cast upon the night has lifted, and again you find your walls torn, find yourself enmeshed in dust. You learn you are made of phenomena, and your dark blue waves hold tangles of kelp. You are never free. You are just another. Thank you.
I'm here to welcome our final group of readers for the whole day. So we made it. Please welcome Bob Holman, Danielle Vogel, Tina Chang, and Rachel Eliza Griffiths.
How's everybody doing? Oh, that sounded all right. So I just was reminded over here by Lee Brissetti that where I first went to Poets House was at the high school on 18th and 8th Avenue, right? And the poets I heard there were Miguelito Algarin and Jorge Brandon. And I believe that that's Jorge's only formal reading, you know.
And it was the night the Berlin Wall fell.
Oh, I forgot that. There was also some other history was going on at that point too. But for me, we were celebrating the reopening of the New Eureka Poets Cafe, which had been closed for the 80s on the Lower East Side. You'll remember AIDS, crack, and gentrification, the 80s. And all of a sudden here, Lee Brissetti, who I think had just graduated from high school herself, was leading this extraordinary evening. Margot Viscusi and Myra Shapiro, you know, anyway, it was an incredible night. And so is this one. And so I thought we'd celebrate by asking you guys to do something that I know isn't cool, but then again, I don't think it's time to be cool anymore. This one's called Aliens in the White House. And it's got a chorus. It goes like this. Aliens in the White House, we got aliens in, come on, White House. We got aliens in the White House. We got aliens in the White. They come from outer space, can't look you in the face. Scenario's worst case. Got aliens in the White House, aliens in the White House. They got delusional disorder, huh? You want to stop the aliens at the border? They're already in the White House. They're infesting it. They crack egg farts with their teeth. It smells like it 'cause we got... All right, now, aliens in the White... Go ahead, pronounce yourself king. Cover your flappy crap ass with bling. Cringe, platypusnik. You see, I believe neologisms are required to get in, to get in there these days. That was platypusnik. Thank you very much. Platypus. Cringe as we sing. We got aliens in the White House. Aliens in the White House. We're a nation of immigrantes with outer space alien presidente who survives by drinking blood innocente. Alienate the aliens. Pilgrim aliens rockin' Plymouth Rock. Doubles down citizens fight the double talk. His signature looks like it's a heart attack. Got amphetamine, ketamine, Big Mac crack. Aliens in the White House. What are we talking about? Aliens in the White House. Oh, flying saucers? Now they are drones. Spit skibbity into your phones. A golden toilet, that's their thrones. They're eau de clones. Sipping testosterone. Aliens in the White House. Aliens in the White House. Why is Denizé Latour calling me right now? Hey, Denizé? Yeah? What? What's up, Denizé?
Okay, no, but
we don't have time to talk. No, speaker. Okay, Denizé, a little louder, please.
Everything's okay with you.
Oh, yeah, everything's fine. What do you think? Is everything okay?
Yes, I am better. You know, only the past 2 weeks, I have been able to climb and go down staircase easily.
Okay, well, we'll take your word for it. Listen, let me call you later. I'm a little busy right now, okay?
Okay. You know, child of the mango tree is out.
Okay, the number 3 is out, everybody. Okay, thank you, Denise. Merci beaucoup. Okay. Let's see if I can find that. Well, here we go. His go-to, thank you, Dennis, right? His go-to hairdo's gone to Lulu. Guilty with the Me Too. Dancing like an emu. Lockjaw, coleslaw, verbal nonsense, kung fu. Gas prices soar while you're licking up the mildew. Aliens in the White House. Huh? Aliens in the White House. Go ahead. Put your name on the dollar bill. Won't mean a penny to the thousands that you kill. Market your toupee at the closest landfill. Your peace prize gonna be a suicide pill. Oh, aliens in the White House. Come on, aliens in the White House. Let's go now. Aliens in the White House. One more time. Aliens in the White House. Let's get them. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you all. I am thrilled to be here to celebrate the 40th birthday of Poets House. I feel like I grew up between here, the Bowery Poetry Club, and St. Mark's. So I just feel like I'm coming home. I also always feel like I'm going to burst into a bunch of stars when I'm around this many poetry books. Like, what in the world? Like, we are in proximity to so much brilliance. It is not easy to follow Bob Holman. I brought 2 options. Do you guys want to hear about bioluminescence, or do you want to hear about ocean? Wait. Bioluminescence. All right, Bob says bioluminescence. I'm going to go for it.
What is it?
Thank you all for having me. Thank you all for gathering for poetry. Thank you all. I just keep hearing Anne Waldman in my head today, one of my earliest poetry teachers and mentors, saying, like, let's keep the world safe for poetry, and this is one of those spaces. I'm going to read the opening to my poetic memoir, A Library of Light. I'm not even going to preface it with anything. I'm just going to go in. Bioluminescence, all you need to know. So, we come to life now. When we pick up language like a lit garment, wet and shaken out. A shin bone lifts, an elbow, a paragraph, all shot through until our edges dissolve in pleats. We are held together through our separatenesses. We are an ambiance of remains, wreckage reconfiguring. We are an illuminated architecture, nothing you know to name. We are a moving letter, topologies of sound. We are never static, but echoic. As we make shape, we take it. The mouth, unmarooned, we trespass punctuation, a curvature, an arc, unarchived in the sharing. We almost make a circle, but what we mean is silence into sound or a coming into focus. We are always in the present tense, the flood of the gap washed out. We, a word. We, a window. Bring your body. When we are 6, we are also 17. When we are 6, we are reading, but we cannot yet read. Our language drapes over something and makes shape associatively. When we are 17, we are reading by resonance, a certain rhyme in the curve of an atom, the slight of it slips through the tongue, a leaning of throats. When we are 3, we are also 14. When we are 14, we do not know the difference between a book and a body. We are unbound, gutterless, a woman's skin near the eye. We are a page, the plum-colored oriole, a cobbled finger bone, a vague star system. When we are there, we lay together and cover ourselves with our voices. When we are 10, we are also 21. We speak of breathing, but this is a thing we cannot do. When we are 7, we are also 18. When we are 18, we begin our bodies, but we are unmappable, unhinged, a resynchronization of codes, the crystalline frequencies of stars, seeds, vowels, lying dormant within you. We are the oldest dialect, a sound the voice cannot make, but makes. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. We're almost there. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Tina Chang. I'm just realizing today that we are a house of poets. We are a house of praise. We are a house of song. We are a house of acceptance. And Cornelius just reminded me we are a house of vulnerability. And it's also definitely the house where I grew up and was loved. So thank you so much, Lee, Cornelius, Rob, for inviting me here today to lead us to this day where we get to celebrate. So I was just going to read a really quick happy poem and just be done with it. But then I realized with Cornelius' words, I'm going to read a poem that makes me feel a little vulnerable. It's called Radiance, and it focuses on a woman who's taking care of her spouse who has stage 4 cancer. I want you to shed the mask of this ailing person, the gray pallor, the thin frame, the sagging shirt, the jeans that balloon when you walk. I want my husband back and close my eyes to imagine that I pay a toll to cross over to a time when we first met. You are holding me under the cascade of light from a disco ball, reflecting flecks of iridescent moonbeam. Your newness and my newness shine in unison as I cup your face and feel each hurt in the hours before we meet. I wait at the brightly lit pharmacy patiently, as if asking for entry through the gates of heaven. I am waiting for fentanyl patches to placate the wild boars of this cancer. I must look exactly like the frantic woman that I am, tired and raging to relieve him of pain. The woman at the counter cares little for the line of people on crutches with slips of paper in their hands, waiting for remedies, tinctures, pills that will momentarily free them from the wilderness of their afflictions. I despise her as she snaps her gum, as I bend to her, even as she states she cannot help me. I ask her about insurance, the cost of single pills, without care for what comes next. If I close my eyes now, she does not shut the plexiglass window. If I will it, the gates of heaven will fly open. Long ago, I watched a bullfight in Spain. How cowardly I thought to poke the beast and flee. Sometimes I am the bull, snarling and sniffing and furious at the smallness of the target. All I cannot shirk or alter. Why was I trapped in this arena? Why do I see the cape of the man who will hurt me? Why does the red fabric entice me? Why do I run toward the bullseye I know will annihilate me? Riding on the handlebars of your bicycle, we careen through a Thursday night with beers and shots of bourbon sloshing in our stomachs. I am giddy, screeching with laughter each time the handlebar turns. I sense you breathing behind me and remember your long gray coat and the red scarf you wore every day. The ruby rose of our fresh infatuation punctuating the night holds us in its starry gaze. You will end. I will end. The world will survive without us. Years later, I tend to my hydrangea at night. I see the shears in the dirt. I believe I see the blooms I hope to take back inside to you. I kneel and weep into the bright darkness, the carnage of the world I tried to save with a can of water. Maybe my purpose will be enough, I say to the sun-scorched flower bed. Tell me my devotion, my aged hands tending this life will be enough. If I continue to garden, this moment will never end. I will bend to it, and it will bend to me. And together, we will last. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Thank you. I am closing the show, but opening it for more food and more fun and more festivities. So, anyone going basically after Bob is in deep shit. So here I am. I am beyond moved to return to Poets House, although a part of me never leaves this place, this home place. And so I must thank Cornelius, Lee, Tom, Rob, Jesus, Rob, everyone. There's so many poets here. There's so many years of my life that are just flashing because I'm old now. And so I was here as a young poet in 2005, coming to Sarah Lawrence. I was here as a facilitator for Poets Fellows. I had amazing, amazing poets, Rio Cortez, Paul Tran, Yan Yi, Aziza Barnes, Ricardo Hernandez. There's just so many memories. I put up photographs when I was a young photographer and poet of poets I loved, and they were all over the walls. And I looked at Miss Lucille Clifton's Automatic Spirit writing when Kevin Young did a wonderful exhibition, and I felt shivers all over my body. And so now here, seeing Poets House live under and with and next to Rob's wisdom and the staff here, I remember dear Reginald Harris and his care and his integrity and his laughter. There's just so many things here, so many celebrations. Folks got married here, and it was beautiful. And so I am going to be as brief as possible because my memory feels as wide as this river when it comes to this place and the magic and the dreaming and the grieving and the crying and the turn up, which I was very much a part of, and all the things. And thank you. Thank you so much. I will always be connected here. So I am going to just read a small poem from my book, Seeing the Body. I'm going to use the new word triggered. I'm so triggered because I just see versions and versions of so many poets who are here living and in spirit. And it's remarkable how past, present, and future are all held in this space. And I see my young hands pulling book after book after book and staying here and being here. And so this is a family. And I'm reading a poem called Chosen Family because I feel for me that's the best, the family you choose. Chosen family. When you find your people, you'll still look over your shoulder sometimes to see if you're being followed. You're hoping one or two people you don't know will want to see where you're going. When you find your people, they won't ask you where you came from because they'll already know. And if they don't, they'll be busy putting good food on your plate and asking you if you're hungry or broke. When you find your people, they'll tell you to use any bathroom you want. Marry anybody you want. Work side by side for brief hours with full wages and health insurance without any fear of being harmed. When you find your people, they'll throw their star to you, offer you their love song, and say, you need to listen to this dance and shine with us, whether or not you know all the steps. When you find your people, they'll say, do you remember? And you'll say yes, until you remember together how the whole thing happened. When you find your people, they'll say, wear whatever you want. Wear the tightest dress. Wear your hot pants, your fishnets, your damn birthday suit. They'll say, we love your black skin and drag and queer and fat and natural hair. And we love you from your roots. So please, just live. And don't let anybody kill you or tell you they've killed you, and you're just fine the dead way you are. When you find your people, don't leave them and don't let them off the hook when they are in the wrong, when they are trying to take themselves out of this world. Lay your hands on them and call them yours and yours and yours and yours and ours and ours. When you find your people, be sure you've been preparing your difficult heart by loving yourself. And what you pretend you don't know, you actually do. So that when you see your kin smiling into your eyes, the soft or tough flags of their hands, covering yours in a truth so fierce and bright, you see, we all have been in midair for some time and could go higher and burn some shit up. If we remember what else is good, what else is good in us, everywhere and everywhere we look. Thank you, Poets House. Happy birthday.
I feel like I found my people. Oh my gosh, thank you all so much. Please give it up for our wonderful poets that have been with us all day. Thank you so much. That was really extraordinary. So much wisdom, so much beauty, so much power, so much connectivity. Thank you to all of you for being here. Keep it going for yourselves. And I also want to have everybody give a special thank you to the staff of Poets House. They've been really killing it. They've been putting up with me all week. So thank you to all of my colleagues. Thank you to everybody on the board of Poets House for their wisdom and stewardship and guidance. And thank you all again. I hear there's cake. So get some cake, have some fun, and thank you again for being here.